Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto becomes super powerful in Highschool DxD Part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for Part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. In a dark place, without a hint of light and it seemed to have no end, there was a body floating that looked like that of a teenager. The boy had spiky blonde hair, he was wearing an orange and black sweatshirt and long pants with the same colors. Another characteristic was that he had 3 pairs of mustaches on each cheek, which gave him a foxy appearance. This boy is none other than Naruto Uzumaki, ninja of Konohagakure no Sado, Jinchuriki of the Kyubi no Yoko, and hero of the Great Fourth Ninja War. Well, ex-hero, since he died after fighting with his best friend and rival Sasuke Uchiha. Naruto sighed. It seems that Sasuke team won, he said with a bored tone, looking into nothingness. But I hope he can find another way to bring peace. You take it well to be dead, mate. Kurama spoke in Naruto's mind, an eyebrow raised at the carefree attitude of his partner. I died. I can't do anything anymore, Naruto said with a bored face, and then changed it to a thoughtful one. But I still have a doubt. What doubt? Kurama asked, interested in his partner's doubt. Yes, I'm dead, Naruto began, looking at the dark sky, with a hand on his chin. Why are you still inside me? Now that you mention it, Kurama started thinking about what his partner said. I don't know either. And the others? Naruto asked, not looking away from the sky. No idea. Shikaka responded in a disinterested and bored manner. I had the same question. Matatabi answered him directly and seriously. I don't understand what's happening either. Isaba said with a thoughtful tone. Same. Son Goku, Koko, Saiken and Komi said at the same time. I think I have a theory. Gyuki spoke with a neutral voice. What would that theory be? Naruto asked, now closing his eyes, waiting for the Biju's response. Well, how do I say this? Gyuki began calmly, but with doubt. You are dead, but at the same time alive. Wait, are you saying that I'm dead, but at the same time I'm alive? Naruto said with his eyes narrowed and his brow furrowed, thinking about what the Biju said. How is that possible? And what does that have to do with you? In answer to your first question, it is about your chakra network. Gyuki responded calmly, but a little seriously. My chakra network? Naruto asked more doubtfully without changing his expression. You see, Naruto, when someone dies, their chakra stops flowing, Gyuki explained. But in your case, your chakra flows differently. Different? You're right, Brother Kurama spoke, being surprised to notice it. Naruto's chakra flows, but at the same time it stops. But he does it so fast that we hadn't realized. And that would explain why you are dead, but at the same time alive. Son Goku said, understanding what his brothers were saying about him. I understand, Shikaka said, understanding everything, but he still had doubts. But what does this have to do with us? You see, Brother Komi spoke calmly. As we are sealed in Naruto, we link our chakra with his, the same thing happens to us as it does to him. I see, Matatabi said, surprised. Then we will not die, but we will not revive either. Exact. Komi responded calmly and directly. But why does this happen to us? Naruto asked with a calm, but thoughtful face. I can explain that to you. A thick and hoarse voice spoke, with a calm tone. When they heard that voice, Naruto was wondering who he was, as were his tenants. But that voice seemed familiar to them. Even with doubts, Naruto and the Bijus could see how a very bright light appeared ahead. When the light dispersed, an elderly man could be seen, wearing a white robe. 2 horns were also visible coming out of his head, with brown hair, and a beard that reached his waist with the same color was floating. In a lotus position, under 9 black spheres, and had purple eyes with a black dot, and surrounded by 6 rings of the same color. Naruto and the Bijus were surprised when they saw who it was. Old Rikudo. Naruto shouted in surprise when he saw the famed Rikudo Sennin again. Father! The Bijus shouted just as surprised. Nice to see you again, Naruto, children. Hagoromo greeted them calmly, but with a small smile. Old Rikudo Naruto looked at him even though he was surprised. What are you doing here? You see, Naruto, I came to tell you to come in and I will also introduce you to someone. Hagoromo responded calmly, and then became embarrassed. And also I come to apologize. Apologize? Naruto asked, curious, not understanding why the person who was nicknamed Shinobi no Kami wanted to apologize. Well, you see, Naruto, Hagoromo began, nervous and embarrassed. Not only were you the transmigration of my son Ashura, but you are also mine and my brother's. Wait, Naruto stopped despite what Hagoromo said. You say that I am not only Ashura's transmigration, but also yours and your brother's. Then he frowned. Why do not you tell me before? It's just I didn't realize, Hagoromo said, scratching the back of his neck and with an awkward smile. After that comment, Naruto and his tenants sweated to see how the person who was considered a sage acted. Well, it doesn't matter anymore, Hagoromo said, becoming calm again. I'll give you my powers anyway, but first I want to introduce you to my brother. For what? Naruto seemed confused. If I already died. I'll explain it to you later, Hagoromo said with a smile. But first I want you to meet my brother. Well, Naruto said, dismissing it, but being curious to meet Hagoromo's brother. Who will be the Rikudo Senin's brother? After Naruto's comment, a light equal to Hagoromo's appeared in front of them. As the light dispersed, an elderly man could be seen, who was wearing a blue robe, and something notable was that he had bright blue eyes. Nice to finally meet you, Uzumaki Naruto. The man introduced himself calmly and politely, with a small smile. I am Hamura Otsutsuki, brother of Hagoromo and founder of the Hyuga clan. Naruto smiled back. It's a pleasure to meet you, old Hamura. Ha ha ha, Hagoromo was right, Hamura said, while he laughed at the way Naruto called him. You're a funny boy. Then he bowed to Naruto. I also apologize for how irresponsible my brother was for not telling you that you were our transmigration. I'm not irresponsible, Hagoromo said calmly but a little angrily. I just didn't realize. How did you not realize that it was your transmigration and that of your only brother? Hamura asked him calmly, but with a mocking tone. After his brother's comment, Hagoromo quickly turned around, avoiding everyone's gaze, and then was surrounded by a depressing aura while he muttered, I'm old, be patient with me every second. With that scene, he made those present sweat and made them wonder, is he really a wise man? After a minute, he composed himself to continue speaking. Well, as I said, we will give you our powers, Hagoromo said calmly, but with a bit of seriousness. But first there is a message from Sasuke that he left you before he died. Message? Naruto asked, surprised by the information. Wait, Sasuke died? Yes, Sasuke died after the last fight they had, Hagoromo responded. But then you died from being very injured and from chakra exhaustion. If I win, eh? Naruto smiled from ear to ear. And what is the message? After finishing speaking, a screen appeared in front of Naruto, where Sasuke's face appeared. Hello, Naruto, Sasuke spoke seriously. If you are seeing this, it is because you died or what Hagoromo told me about has already happened to you. Wait, Naruto looked away from the screen, to look at Hagoromo. What will happen to me? I'll tell you when I finish the message. Hagoromo answered him calmly. Naruto just nods, to look at the screen again. Getting to the point, I just wanted to say thank you for never doubting me and being my best friend, Sasuke said seriously, but with a small smile. That is why I will give you something that will help you in your new adventure. Naruto, doubtful about what they were going to give him, he just stayed silent waiting for Sasuke to speak again. I will give you my Eternal Manjiki Sharingan and my Rinnegan, Sasuke said with a smile. As also the chakra of Indra. Wow, those are good gifts, Naruto said surprised. But about Indra's chakra, then he looked away from the screen to look at Hagoromo. I am the transmigration of Ashura. And with what you told me, the two hate each other. To be honest, Naruto, Indra wanted you to be his transmigration, Hagoromo explained. But since you were Ashura's and transmigration only worked with the Uchiha, he changed you for Sasuke. Really? Wow, Naruto was surprised by that information. So there is no problem? Hagoromo just nods, so Naruto can look at the screen again. Well, this is all. I wish you luck and use my power to bring peace to the world. Sasuke smiled at him in farewell. See you, friend. When the screen disappeared, a blue energy came out to enter Naruto. Then there was a burning sensation in his eyes, and then the Eternal Manjiki Sharingan appeared in one eye and the Rinnegan in the other, only to disappear in the blink of an eye. Now Naruto turned his attention to the Otsutsuki brothers. Can you tell me what will happen to me? I can explain that. Before either of the two Otsutsuki could speak, a gentle, feminine voice came forward. When the voice finished, a light appeared in front of those present, where it appeared. After Naruto died, he was in a loop between life and death, where after talking with his tenants, he met Hagoromo, who told him that it was his reincarnation and that of his brother Hamura, who also met and obtained a gift from his friend/rival Sasuke, who would be his eyes. Naruto asked what would happen to him, but before the Otsutsuki brothers could respond, a sweet feminine voice interrupted them. I can explain that. After the unknown voice's comment, a light appeared in front of those present who were temporarily mowed down. As the light dispersed, a beautiful woman could be seen with pale purple hair that reached to her waist. She had a voluptuous body and was wearing a white robe that covered her skin as white as snow, and another characteristic would be her pearly eyes. In the sight of any man alone he would gawk at the sight of her, and others think the word beautiful every second, but Naruto was only surprised and nervous by the person he saw in front of him, only to then quickly get into a battle stance. I'm impossible, Naruto said, surprised and at the same time upset, because in front of him was the person who, with the help of his team, was able to seal her. I noted that the bijus within him had the same reactions. You should be sealed. The person there was no more or less than Kagaya Otsutsuki, only the difference is that he did not have the horns or the Rinne Sharingan, which did not go unnoticed by Naruto and the bijus. Calm down, Naruto, Hagoromo said calmly, but seriously. She's not the Kagaya you faced. Naruto just nods, then relaxes. She's sorry for my outburst, Naruto said with a tight smile, as he scratched the back of his neck. Calm down, Naruto-kun, I know what you went through because of my counterpart, Kagaya told him sadly. So you don't have to apologize, rather I would have to apologize. Then she gave him a sweet and flirtatious smile. So don't hesitate to ask me anything. After the goddess's comment, Naruto only blushed at the way he spoke to her. And while the Otsutsuki brothers, well, they had their jaws on the ground because of their mother's attitude that they never saw and would believe they saw. Okay, but you don't have to do anything, Naruto said with a smile. It's obvious that it wasn't her fault, Kagaya-chan. Kagaya would only put her hand on her mouth, then let out flirtatious giggles and would notice a small blush on her cheeks that was noticed by Naruto, who was wondering if she said something funny, and while the Otsutsuki brothers were more surprised, why there was only one reason for his mother's behavior. So Kagaya-chan, huh? Kagaya said, and then let out another giggle. He then turned his attention from him to Naruto. Well, getting to the point, what will happen to you will be that you will revive in another world, Naruto-kun. Revive in another world? Naruto asked, surprised and doubtful of what the goddess was saying. Exactly, Naruto-kun, Kagaya said, giving him a sweet smile. I know you were given the opportunity to revive in another world by order of the Supreme God, who is the God of gods, who is in charge of taking care of the different worlds and universes. I understand, Naruto said, understanding, but still with a doubt. But, among many people, why me? Kagaya widening his smile at his question. That is because the Supreme God, along with some lesser gods like me, were amazed by the purity of your heart. Naruto was only amazed, because he didn't believe that he would be so pure that even the gods and the Supreme God would be amazed. While the Otsutsuki brothers were not far behind either, since they knew that Naruto would only revive in another world, not why, and now they were sure that they had a great successor. But before inviting you to the other world, I and some acquaintances want to give you some gifts, Kagaya told him with a smile and a happy tone. Before Naruto asked who they were, he was interrupted by 5 pillars of light. As the light dispersed, 4 beautiful women and a man could be seen. Hagoromo and Hamura, upon seeing who they were surprised and quickly knelt before the people. Well, it seems that the Supreme God was not wrong, the man spoke with an omnipotent voice, looking at Naruto with a big smile. The boy has the purest heart I have ever seen. You're not wrong, brother, one of the female sisters said with an angelic voice, one who had long brown hair. She looked at Naruto with a smile and a small blush. Plus it's very cute. You're right, sister, another woman spoke in agreement. She had long, white hair that seemed to shine like the moon at night. She looked at Naruto with tenderness and a small blush. He's cute, but with those mustaches it makes him look so kawaii. Fufufu is right, spoke a beautiful woman with long hair as black as the night. She looked at Naruto with a mischievous glint in her eyes and an almost sadistic smile. He's so cute that I would hug him and then do a lot of things, Fufufu. The last woman, who had hair golden like the purest light, pointed at her with a suspicious look. You better not do something indecent to Naruto-kun. Before Naruto asked who they were, Kaguya spoke. Well, they were already late, Kaguya said with a smile, turning her gaze to the new guests. I'm sorry, the brunette woman apologized. It's just that we were preparing things. Eto, excuse me, Naruto spoke, drawing the attention of those present. Who are you? Ah yes, where are our manners? The man spoke, and then raised his hand in greeting towards Naruto. I am Susanoo, the god of storms. Nice to meet you, boy. The man who had a Chinese straw hat on top of his long black hair. He had a mustache and a small goatee. He was wearing blue shorts, with a bare torso showing off his big muscles, and he had a Japanese-style sword on his waist. I am Amaterasu, the goddess of the sun. It's a pleasure, Naruto-kun. The beautiful brunette woman appeared, wearing a sun-shaped tiara, wearing a white kimono with red lines, with shiny decorations in the form of images of the sun. I am Tsukuyomi, the goddess of the moon and twin sister of Amaterasu. Nice to meet you, Naruto-kun. The woman appeared very similar to Amaterasu, but the difference was that she had bright white hair. She wore a moon-shaped tiara. She was wearing a white kimono with gray lines and silver decorations in the shape of images of the moon. Fufufu, I am Shinigami, the goddess of death. It is a pleasure to meet you in person, and perhaps in the future in body, Naruto-kun, Fufufu. A beautiful black-haired woman wearing a completely black kimono introduced herself in a flirtatious tone. I am Hikari, the goddess of light. Nice to meet you, Naruto-kun. A beautiful blonde, wearing a golden kimono with white lines, introduced herself with a happy and playful tone. After the introductions, Naruto was surprised and paralyzed. He didn't know if he should also kneel like Hagoromo and Hamura. Calm down, boy, Susanoo spoke with a smile, as if she knew what Naruto was thinking. We don't like formalities, so it's not necessary for you to kneel. Then she looked at the Otsutsuki brothers. Same for you, Hagoromo, Hamura. Those names stood up and stood looking at the deities, waiting for someone to speak. Well, since we are all here, we will proceed to give the gifts to Naruto-kun. Kaguya spoke calmly, then looked at Hagoromo, who only nodded, and then approached Naruto. Well, Naruto, as my reincarnation, I will give you the 5 primary elements and some secondary ones, that would be the Mokuton, Hyuton, Shikuton, Deiton, Ranton, Shoton, Inton, Yoton, and Onmyoton. And since you have Shikaku, Son Goku, and Koko sealed, you already have the Jiton, the Yoton, and the Futon. I will also awaken your Uzumaki genes so you can use the Kongo Fusa. Hagoromo explained, and then touched Naruto's head, who then began to change. His hair changed to red with golden tips, he grew a few centimeters and his muscles became toned. And since you are the transmigration of Indra and Ashura, you have Uchiha and Senju blood. And by the way, all the Bijus will accompany you because they will be better with you. The women present could only look closely at Naruto and think unholy things. Naruto for some reason got a shiver. Gyuki asked, concerned for the former wielder and friend of his. Don't worry, Hagoromo said, trying to reassure Gyuki. I already talked to B, and so that he wouldn't die I left 90% of your chakra with him, but in a few days you will regenerate them. Hagoromo then moved away to give Hamura room to approach. I will give you the Byakugan, and the evolution of it, the Tensengai, Hamura said, and then touched Naruto's head, who felt a burning in his eyes. Hamura then handed him a small scroll with the Hyuga clan symbol. And this scroll with all the techniques and secrets of the Hyuga clan. After him, Kaguya approached. I will give you an almost infinite chakra and the Rinna Sharingan. I will also give you the genes of the Kagai clan, who have the ability to use their bones as weapons. Kaguya explained, then kissed Naruto, who blushed. It is worth noting that everyone present was surprised. Seconds later, a strand of white hair grew in Naruto's hair. Kaguya stops kissing him and walks away with a satisfied smile, leaving a completely surprised Naruto. Then Susanoo approached, who looked at him with amusement at the state he was in for receiving a kiss. I will give you strength and endurance beyond normal, but you will have to train them. And I will give you the Jinton and the Taiten, said Susanoo, and then touched Naruto's head. Seconds later she gave him a small scroll and a sword. I will also give you one of my great swords called Yamamoto. With it you can control water. And finally a scroll with the style of Kenjutsu of the gods and Jutsus of the elements that I gave you. The sword, in Naruto's opinion, was beautiful and fascinating. It was a medieval type sword, but larger than normal. Its 2 blades were blue like water, and its hilt was inlaid with blue gems. Naruto could literally feel the raw power of this sword. Then Amaterasu approached. I will give you the Bakutan, and a new one called Sotan, which will give you the same flames of the sun. I will also give you a roll of jutsu of this element, and a killing instinct that would make the Jubi faint. Amaterasu told him, and then warmly kissed Naruto, who only blushed and was surprised for the second time. After an unnecessarily long kiss, Amaterasu broke away, walking away, to make way for Shinigami. I will give you the Meitun, and I give you permission to use the Kuchios, Edo Tensei, unlike some people who used it without permission. And you can also summon me or my servants who will serve you and protect you, Shinigami explained with a flirtatious smile. And I will give you a cold personality after the hour of killing and the ability to rejuvenate people. And finally, I will give you an eternal life where you can also give it to someone special. Shinigami then passionately kissed Naruto, who no longer knew what to think or feel because of all the sudden kisses he was receiving from the beautiful goddesses. After 5 minutes, Shinigami separated from her much to her chagrin, but Tsukuyami had to follow. I will give you the Kotan, and I will give you this scroll that contains 6 legendary summon contracts. During your training you will be able to sign it, and also the ability to hide and move through the shadows. Tsukuyami told him, and then kissed Naruto coldly but with love. Naruto now just let himself go into the kiss. After a minute, she pulled away and Hikari walked over. I will give you the Jintan, and I will grant you an aura that will make good people follow you and trust you, while bad people will fear you. I will also give you great wisdom, Hikari said, and then handed him a roll, and finally, I will give you this scroll that contains the style of taijutsu of the gods, and if you want, give it a name. Hikari then kissed Naruto lovingly. After 2 minutes she separated and Kaguya spoke. Well, Naruto-kun, before we send you to the other world, you will go to a dimension so you can train your new abilities, Kaguya explained calmly, and then a gap appeared behind Naruto. And don't worry, time passes faster in the world you will go to. Naruto looked at them curiously. When will you send me to the other world? Don't worry, kid, Susanoo said with a smile. We know when you will be ready. Well, then I'm leaving, Naruto said, and then bowed before the gods. But first I want to say thank you to you and the Supreme God for everything. The others just smiled, because they knew that they had not made a mistake in choosing Naruto. Naruto was going to enter the gap, but Hagoromo stopped him. Ah, wait, Naruto. I forgot to give you these scrolls, Hagoromo said, and then gave 3 scrolls to Naruto, where each one had logos of 3 different clans. Where inside are your Uzumaki, Senju, and Uchiha heritage, where you will find everything from fighting styles, weapons, money, medical procedures from the Senju, and rolls of Fuinjutsu from the Uzumaki. Ah, and I'll give you this. Shinigami spoke, and then many blue particles appeared in her hand and entered Naruto. And it was? Naruto asked, as he looked at his abdomen. Fufufu, I'll just tell you that they will help you in your training. Shinigami told him in a fun and flirtatious manner, making Naruto's curiosity increase. Oh, interesting. Kurama spoke amusingly from Naruto's mind. Naruto became curious. What's interesting? You'll see, mate. Kurama told him without changing his amusement. Good, see you later. Naruto said goodbye with a smile, then turned around and entered the gap where I can see. We stayed as Naruto said goodbye to the gods and entered the gap, where he could only think about something. Beautiful. In front of him was one of the most beautiful landscapes he had ever seen. It was a large meadow where it divided into a lake with a waterfall and a large forest. There was also a cabin that was not too big or too small. Well, let's start training, Naruto said with a smile that showed his determination. Wait, partner, Kurama spoke, stopping Naruto. I want you to enter your mental space to plan your training, and I also want to show you something. All right. Having said that, Naruto calmly sat on the grass in a lotus position to enter his mental space. Upon entering, he could see the 9 Bijus in front of him with a big smile. So, how will we do the training? Naruto asked with a determined face, which made the Bijus laugh at his impatience and determination. That's for later, mate, Kurama said with a foxy smile. First we want to show you something or someone. Before Naruto asked what he was, a voice could be heard that made his head a sea of feelings, since he had not heard that voice since the fight he had with Kurama to control his chakra. You've grown up, Soichi. A woman's voice spoke where the happiness in her voice was noticeable. Naruto quickly turned back only to start crying. Oh, Kasan. Naruto, with tears in his eyes and a big smile, quickly went to hug his mother. Long time, Naruchan Kushina said, reciprocating the hug with tears in her eyes. I have to say that red suits you. Naruto just stayed silent, enjoying the warmth of the hug, but after a few seconds he was going to ask what was going on until another male voice spoke. Can I join the family hug? It was a voice that Naruto recognized, only to see a blonde man behind his mother. Oto-san. You have changed, son, but it looks good on you. Minato said with happiness to see the family, and then hugged his son and wife. The Bijus only witnessed the family moment with a smile. They felt happy that their friend/companion could feel what he could never feel as a child. Oto-san, aka Sen Naruto, wiped away his tears and separated from the hug to look at his parents in confusion. What are you doing here? Minato smiled. We all came to help you in your training. Help me? Naruto asked, and then noticed what his father said. Wait, everyone? That's right, Gaki. A male voice spoke with a funny tone. Naruto quickly saw where his voice was coming from, only to see the person he considered a father figure, only younger. Ero-sensei. Naruto said, surprised to see his former sensei perverted on him. After Naruto's comment, that made the aforementioned vein pop out. Damn, Gaki, Jiraiya said angrily, with a vein throbbing. That scene made everyone present laugh. Have more respect for your elders. I'm sorry, Naruto apologized with a smile. But I missed it, sensei. Me too, Gaki. Jiraiya said with a smile and hugged his student. Wherever he was, he reciprocated. So Naruto broke away from the hug and looked at the three. Will you train me? Minato shook his head. No, there are more of us. Before Naruto asked who else will train him, three voices interrupted him. So we have to train this boy, spoke a serious and strict voice. That will be interesting. So it seems, brother, spoke a voice with a tone of amusement. And I have a feeling that he will surpass us by a lot. I hope I'm not rusty, a voice spoke calmly. It's been a long time since he trained someone. Seeing who the voices belonged to, Naruto was surprised to see the people who were considered the best shinobi in his time. Shodai Hokage, Naidame Hokage and Jiji? Naruto was surprised to learn that he was going to be trained by legends, that he seemed to have rejuvenated until he was almost the age of his parents. Will you train me too? That's right, Naruto Hashirama said happily, and then puffed out his chest with superiority. I am in charge of training you with the Mokutan. As my brother said, he will help you with the Mokutan, Tobirama spoke with a stoic voice and a serious face. And I will help you with the Suiton, and with it, Kuchios, Edo Tensei, since I created it. I will train you by teaching you all my jutsu arsenals, Hiruzen said with a small smile. And I will also teach you a little bijutsu. Really? Naruto smiled happily at the new things he was going to learn. Thank you very much to all. Wait, Minato spoke. There are still people missing. Naruto raised an eyebrow curiously. Who is missing? Us, Gaki? Said a male voice, which Naruto recognized since he heard that voice in his days as a genin of Konoha. That's right, Naruto-kun. Then a female voice was heard, which Naruto also recognized from his days as a genin. Naruto just looked at where the voices were heard, just to know that his suspicions were true. Zabuza, Haku. Naruto was surprised to learn that he would also be trained by two former enemies. You too? Zabuza smiled beneath his mask. Not just us. Behind the newcomers, 9 silhouettes appeared, when Naruto recognized 2 from having fought with them before. Before Naruto asked who the others were, someone from the group spoke. Nice to meet you, Uzumaki Naruto. I am Jinin Akabino. Jinin introduced himself with a serious face. I was previously a member of the 7 Swordsmen of the Mist and was the bearer of the Kabutowari. A pleasure, young Uzumaki. I am Jinpachi Munashi. Jinpachi introduced himself calmly and with a small smile. As Jinin, I was also part of the 7 Swordsmen of the Mist and former wielder of the Shibuki. Nice to meet you, Uzumaki Naruto. I am Kushimara Kuriara. Kushimara introduced himself with a stoic voice. Also a former member of the 7 Swordsmen of the Mist and the former wielder of the Nuber. Congratulations, Gaki. I'm Fugoki Hashigaki. Fugoki introduced himself with a smile showing his sharp teeth. Former member of the 7 Swordsmen of the Mist and former wielder of the Samahata. Hello, boy. I'm Juzo Biwa. Juzo introduced himself with fun and with a smile showing his sharp teeth. former member of the Seven Swordsmen of the Mist and former wielder of the Kubikiribocho. Wow, Raiga spoke with a smile. Who would have thought that the shrimp I faced would become a great ninja? Jijijiji, a pleasure Gaki. I'm Ainuri Ringo. Ainuri introduced himself in a fun way and with a smile. Former member and first woman of the Seven Swordsmen of the Mist and former bearer of the Kibis. A pleasure, Naruto-san. I am Mangetsu Hozuki. Mangetsu introduced himself seriously. Former member of the Seven Swordsmen of the Mist and former wielder of the Hiramikarii. Wow, Kisame spoke with a shark-like smile. How long, Gaki? Eto Naruto began to speak, trying to hide his surprise at being in front of the best swordsman. What are all the former Seven Swordsmen of the Mist doing here? Easy, Gaki Zabuza spoke, smiling under his mask. Everyone here will train you in Kenjutsu and we will also teach you our fighting styles. And I'm here to help you with Hayatan. Haku told her, also with a smile, that Naruto thought she was cute, but then he remembered that he was a boy. While Naruto thought about that, Kurama avoided laughing at what his friend/partner thought, and how easily he believed the boy's lie. Then, it will be an honor to be trained by you. Naruto told them respectfully, making those present smile. But before he continued speaking, other voices interrupted him, only to see 5 people appear, who were. We stayed when Naruto had a reunion with family, friends and enemies, who had the job of training him. But when he wanted to start his training, 5 people appeared that Naruto didn't know but seemed familiar, but before he could ask anything, one of those people spoke. Although he is skinny, he has power. A dark, muscular man spoke with a manly tone. You're right, it will be interesting to show him. Jintan, another man who was bandaged up to his ankles, where only his eyes could be seen, spoke in a stoic voice. I would even say that he can overcome. Wow, so young and he has amazing power. A man who had a small mustache spoke. You can tell that this boy is a diamond in the rough. This boy is strong. Another man spoke, having dark red hair. I see how I help my son. I hope you're ready, boy. A black-haired man spoke with a stoic voice. I'm not soft when it comes to training. Who are you? Naruto asked them suspiciously and intrigued, since he seemed to know them, but he didn't remember. Oh, sorry for not introducing myself. I am A, also known as the Sandame Reikage, spoke the muscular and dark man already known as A, with an omnipotent voice. He's a pleasure, boy. Naruto was surprised because in front of him was another Kage, and he knew why he looked familiar, since he fought against him when he was revived in the war. I am Mu, also known as the Night-Aimed Tsuchikage. The bandaged man already known as Mu spoke, with a stoic voice. It's a pleasure, Gaki. Naruto was again surprised and also recognized him as another of those revived in the war. I am Hozuki Genjutsu, also known as the Night-Aimed Mizukage. The man with small mustaches, already known as Genjutsu, spoke with a slightly amused tone. It's a pleasure, boy. Naruto was surprised again, and could also recognize him as other of those revived in the war. I am Raza, I was also known as Yandame Kazakage. The dark redhead, already known as Raza, spoke with a stoic voice. It's a pleasure, boy. Naruto was surprised again, and also recognized him as other of those revived in the war, and also for being the father of one of his friends. I am Minoru, also known as the Sandame Kazakage. The black-haired man, already known as Minoru, spoke with a serious voice. It's a young taste. Naruto was surprised and maybe never saw or met him, but he heard about him. Like Akatsuki's Gaara rescue mission report. JC, this character didn't have a name in the anime, so I gave him the dub name. It's a pleasure, Naruto greeted them. But what are you doing here? He was intrigued because there were ancient Kages in his subconscious. Easy, Kid Genjutsu responded with amusement and a small smile. We are here to help you in your training. Train me? Naruto asked in disbelief, because not only did he train with the former Hokages, but also with other Kages who were feared and respected in his previous world. Exactly, A nodded his head abruptly. I will train you with everything related to the Raiden and my jutsus, and I will help you with your monstrous strength, he explained. Because who else can teach you better about Raiden and strength, other than a Reikage? A puffed out his chest proudly as he said that, while Naruto and the others nodded, since he was right. I will train you with Jintan, Mu explained seriously, since I created it. And I will also teach you a little about Doton. Mu might be serious as she spoke, but inside she was amused thinking about the torturous training she would give Naruto. At that moment Naruto got a shiver. I'll help you with this, Suetun, Genjutsu explained proudly, his smile widening. Since the Hozuki clan are experts in that and Genjutsu. Raza smiled in a friendly and calm manner. Me and Minoru Dano will train you with Jiten. That's right, Minoru nodded his head seriously. And I warn you that I am not soft when it comes to training. Wow, Naruto murmured impressed. Then I will take care of him. In the end she bowed, while the Kages just smiled. Wow, Naruto, you really have changed, spoke a young, masculine voice with a friendly tone. I have to say that red suits you. Naruto, upon hearing that, looked to where the voice came from, only to see a former enemy, who later regretted his actions and turned for good, but not surviving in the process. Nagato, Naruto said in disbelief at seeing someone he knew little, but he considered him a friend. You too? Exactly, Nagato said calmly with a smile. I am here to train you so that you completely master the Rinnegan. Naruto was just surprised and excited about how strong he will become in the future, and noticed that Nagato was accompanied by a woman and a man, who he had an idea of who they would be based on their hair colors. And who are you? Naruto asked them with slight interest, looking at those who accompanied Nagato. Sorry for not introducing myself, I'm Mito Uzumaki. A red-haired woman with the name of Mito introduced herself. And I am here to train you and become a master of Fuinjutsu. It is a pleasure to meet you, young man. She then bowed respectfully to Naruto. It's a pleasure, young Uzumaki. I am Ryu, founder and the first Uzukage of Uzushio-gakure. Ryu, a tall redhead, with white hair and a small red beard, introduced himself. And I am here to train you in the Uzumaki Kenjutsu style. JC, I don't know if this one exists, but since... Oh, thank you, Naruto spoke happily and bowing. I swear I won't let you down like Uzumaki. You and your promises, said a young, masculine voice, which Naruto recognized perfectly. You never change, right, Naruto? Yos, this young ninja has great flames of youth. Another male voice spoke, which Naruto didn't recognize, but when he heard that sentence, he could only think of two dark-haired men with big eyebrows. Wow, what a handsome boy, said a female voice, which Naruto didn't recognize but was embarrassed by what he said. It wouldn't be bad if you trained him alone. You're right, said another female voice, which Naruto recognized but didn't remember who he was. He is more handsome since the last time I saw him. It will be a pleasure to train you, Naruto-sama. Finally a young, male voice spoke. Naruto recognized him too, but he also didn't remember who he was. When he looked to where the voices were coming from, only to see a former friend, a man similar to two of the aforementioned people, a girl with orange and green hair that he had never seen, and two former enemies. But he mainly focused on his former friend, who unfortunately died sacrificing himself in the war. So you too, Naruto smiled. Hey, Niji? Although he was happy to see even a great friend and companion who sacrificed his life for him. What did you think? Niji spoke with a mocking tone and a small smile. That he, Byakugan, and the techniques of the Hyuga clan were learned so easily? Naruto could only affirm in Niji's favor, as he was right. I see why you're here, Naruto said with a smile, but quickly looked at the others present, intrigued. But what are you doing here? It is also worth noting that the two new women did not stop looking lustfully at Naruto, and that he was feeling uncomfortable with the looks. The first to respond was the man with big eyebrows and mustaches. Congratulations, Naruto-kun, I am Meito Dai. Dai introduced himself with excitement, and making poses with flames in his eyes. And I am here to train you in taijutsu and the Hashiman Tanko, so your flames of youth may grow brighter than ever. Naruto was impressed and sweating at the man's attitude. Then one of the women spoke. Nice to meet you, Naruto-kun, I'm Pakura. Pakura introduced herself with a sweet tone. I will take care of your training with the Shikuten, then she smiled flirtatiously. And maybe other things. Naruto could only smile nervously at the last thing the woman said. But then he calmed down and spoke. It's a pleasure, Pakura-san, Naruto said with a smile. I hope to learn a lot from you. And ending by bowing, making Pakura smile. Then Naruto looked away to see the other two present. While the second unidentified woman spoke with a flirtatious tone. It's a pleasure to see you again, Naruto-kun. It's also a pleasure to see you, Gyurin. Naruto smiled at him, and then became serious. And seeing you here, that must mean. Yes, Gyurin smiled sadly. I died after protecting Yukimaro from those white men. If I'm not mistaken, they were called Zetsus. I see, Naruto said sadly. I'm sorry for reminding you. Don't worry, at least Yukimaru is alive, Giran said a little more cheerful. But changing the subject, I am here to train you with it, Shotan. So he hoped that you are prepared. I understand, Naruto smiled determinedly. Then I will also be in your care. He then shifted his gaze from him to the other person, and the person most intriguing to Naruto because of the respectful way he spoke. It's a pleasure, Naruto-sama. As you know, my name is Kimamaru, but my full name is Kimamaru Kagaya. The now known Kimamaru spoke with a serious face and a stoic voice. And I am here to train him to master the Kekkei Genkai of the Kagaya clan. Eto, thank you, Kimamaru, Naruto said a little uncomfortable because of his respectful way of addressing him. But why do you speak to me so respectfully? Easy, Naruto-sama. Before we got here, Shinigami-sama told me that you are now the new head of the Kagaya clan, Kimamaru explained, without changing his voice or face. And in honor of my extinct clan, I have to have respect for it. Chief of the Kagaya clan? Naruto asked, surprised by the revelation. Why would it be me? Think about it, Mate Kurama spoke with boredom. You received the genes of the Kagaya clan through the original founder. It would be obvious if you were the current head of the clan. And also with the Uchiha and Senju clans, which is why you are now the transmigration of Ashura and Indra. Naruto only thought about it for a second, then nodded. Why he made sense. I understand, but so much formality is not necessary, Naruto said to Kimamaru, giving him a smile, and then extended his hand. Just give me your hand as a sign of friendship. Kimamaru was surprised, but then he composed himself and shook hands with Naruto. Of course, Naruto-sama. Kimamaru spoke, his stoic voice and serious face, while Naruto only thought that this respectful way of addressing him would be permanent. Well, before I start my training, Naruto then looked around. Is anyone else here? Yes, we are missing. A boy's voice said, with a calm tone that Naruto immediately recognized. He then looked away only to see 6 people, where he recognized 5 of the 6 people. He, Naruto laughed as he recognized the people. So you too, eh? What can we say? Another man spoke with a funny tone. Do you think it's easy to control those eyes you received? Naruto didn't recognize him at first, but when I look closely I can see an old enemy, who although there caused problems in his previous world, that was only because he suffered a lot during his life living in solitude. He repented and died, saving Naruto from an attack by the evil Kagaya. So you will train me to control the Sharingan? Naruto smiled, looking at the 2 people in particular, who also smiled. Itachi Obito. That's right, Obito spoke with a funny tone. We will train you to control the powers of the Sharingan, and I hope you are prepared because we will not be soft. While Naruto had a nervous smile at the Uchiha's behavior, that if during the war he was serious and emotionless, he now saw him with the amused attitude that he once heard about from his sensei. I say the same thing, Itachi spoke calmly. But first, I want to introduce you to an old friend who will also help you with the Sharingan. Then he pointed to another of the newcomers, who he was the only one he didn't recognize. It's a pleasure, Naruto. I am Shursui. Uchiha Shursui introduced himself with a friendly smile. And as Itachi said, I will also help you with the Sharingan. Then, in an instant, his smile became childish. So from now on you will call me Shursui-sensei or Shursui-Nizen, although I like the latter better. Naruto only sweated, and he was not the only one, since everyone present, even the Bijus, had the same reaction, because of the last thing he said, and meanwhile Itachi only shook his head at the childish attitude of his friend. Sorry for Shursui's attitude, it's just that since we were ninjas, he always said that I always bragged about Sasuke's achievements, Itachi explained calmly. And since those days he tried to find a little brother, just to rub it in my face. What he said made Shursui angry, starting an argument, although the only one arguing was him, since Itachi completely ignored him. Naruto, just seeing that, made him sweat more. Then he put that aside and looked away to see another of the newcomers, who were 2 men, one blonde and the other redhead that he knew very well. And what are you doing here, Deidara Sasori? Naruto asked, looking directly at the 2 named. Easy, I'm here to train you with Bakudan, Deidara responded with a smile and amusement. And so you can create the same art as me. I will mainly train you to control your monstrous amounts of chakra, Sasori explained calmly, and without expressions. Since the puppeteers specialize in that, to control the puppets, and maybe it will teach you a thing or 2 about puppets. I see, Naruto said calmly. You are the last ones, right? Yes, we are the last. Itachi responded without changing his expression and continuing to ignore Shursui. Well, Naruto said too calmly. But I have a question. Which? What the hell is he doing here? Naruto shouted from the rooftops, very nervous, the only one hysterical, while the others remained calm, although the bijus seemed a little nervous and furious. And it was not a surprise, since the person he was referring to was the person who caused a lot of problems, even when he was dead. The one who caused many deaths in the war. Although he was manipulated, he was very dangerous, since he was neither more nor less than Madara Uchiha. Silence was what was presented in Naruto's subconscious. Naruto, after having asked that not at all calm question, was looking seriously and nervously at one of the guests of his subconscious, which was one of the strongest enemies he had ever faced, who was the legendary Madara Uchiha. While the newly appointed one, he only looked at Naruto with a stoic look. Naruto was prepared to attack, but at the same time confused, because the rest of his guests were calm, including the bijus, only they seemed a little nervous and angry. Naruto was brought out of his confusion when he saw Madara inhale a large amount of air, causing Naruto to believe that he would start attacking, but what Madara did in reality left him and everyone present, including the bijus, with eyes wide and jaw on the floor. "I'm sorry for everything I caused in the war," Madara shouted on the floor, prostrating himself before Naruto's feet, where he was still in shock at what one of the most powerful and proud people said of his world. "Please forgive me." A few seconds passed until Naruto could react. "WHWH what?" "I regret everything I did during the war," Madara said with a tone that showed regret and nervousness. "So please forgive me." Naruto couldn't formulate any words. He could tell Madara's regret, but he couldn't trust him just as much. But he was brought out of his thoughts when someone spoke. "Don't worry, Naruto, you can trust him," Hashirama said. Believe it or not, Madara was one of the ninjas who always protected people from him, and the weak. Then he frowned with anger. But because of the council, because of his lust for power, he made Madara and the Uchiha clan look bad by deceiving them, which provoked Madara's thirst for revenge. As he named the council, Hashirama could see the anger in his voice, as he was also disappointed by the village that he and his clan helped the Uchiha clan found. Hearing that, Naruto was surprised that the person he thought was a monster with no feelings was actually a person who deserved to be called ninja. Now Naruto only felt respect, since he knew what it was like to be treated like a monster in his own home. "I see, but don't worry, Madara. I always think that if a person regrets his actions, they deserve a second chance," Naruto said with a smile, as he knows how to do them, to offer his hand to Madara to get up. "In short, he forgave you." Madara was surprised by the words he said. But then he changed it with a small smile and grabbed Naruto's hand, so he could stand up to present himself better by shaking hands. After separating, Naruto spoke. So Naruto looked at everyone with a smile. "When do we start?" The others just smiled at his determination. "Well, since we do not have a defined time for when you will be taken to the new world, and here time passes faster, we will take advantage of this situation for your training," Kurama told him, giving him his typical ghoulish smile. Naruto just nods, but he got a chill from seeing his friend's smile. "Well, listen, son, technically we are not alive, but we can go out and have a physical body with all our abilities to help you with your training," Minato explained to his son, and then put on a serious expression. "But our souls are still sealed in you, do you understand?" Naruto nods his head, affirming that he understood. Well, Hashirama spoke. "I understand everything, let's start with your training, Naruto." Naruto got a chill when he saw all of his new senseis look at him with a malicious gleam in their eyes. After that chilling moment for Naruto, he emerged from his subconscious with his new senseis, to begin the training of the person who in the future would be called the Shinobi God. JC, here I will put the years of training, like every training explanation. In the first year, Naruto trained his physique and his abnormal strength. At first it was easy, but then it became more difficult and more difficult with Mito's weight stamps, where he started with 10 kg stamps on his arms, legs, back and torso and increased them by 10 kg more each month. His senseis ordered Naruto to wear these at all times, whether during training or even doing everyday things. In the second year he began to train his literally infinite chakra reserves with the help of Sasori and the shadow clones, where he helped them faster by doing exercises such as climbing trees, walking on water, and swinging a saban over a waterfall. While the original continued with the physical exercises, now supervised by A and I. When Naruto suffered the most and carried 120 kg seals on his arms, legs, back and torso. In the third year, Naruto's clones began to train their elemental and sub-elemental jutsu and other techniques. For example, the Hiraishin no Jutsu, which trained him to use it without the need to use kunais, where Minato and Tobirama helped him. He also set out to train the Rasengan, to create it faster and create versions of it with the elements. The ability to move through shadows was also included in the training. Meanwhile, the original continued with physical exercises and also began practicing taijutsu with everyone's help. To learn all the styles like that of Dai and Minato, where the latter had a style called Hakidori no Hain, which was characterized by fast and precise strikes. By the end of the year I already had great control of his affinities, both with his Suetun, that I could use him like Tobirama, his Mokutun, like Hashirama, and his Right-tun could surpass A. He was able to use the Hiraishin no Jutsu, without the need for kunai, and created the derivations of the Rasengan, which to define them in one word would be destructive. And with the help of Minato, Naruto was able to learn the Chidori, and with a lot of effort he was also able to learn or copy the techniques of his friend Sasuke, such as the Kirin. He also had great control with the elements that the gods gave him. Also during that time, Naruto decided to also take his father's last name, to be able to honor both surnames. Minato really liked that decision. In the 4th year, Naruto continued with the jutsus to make them with few hand seals and also invent some new ones. He also began practicing kenjutsu and bijutsu with the previous 7 swordsmen of the mist, Ryu and Hiruzen, practicing with copies of the original swords of the 7 swordsmen of the mist that were created by Shinigami so that Naruto learned to use them perfectly. Something that seemed strange for Naruto during this year is that the previous 7 swordsmen of the mist also had their respective copies of swords. The strange thing was why they needed the swords if they were dead. When he asked about that topic he always said the same thing, it's a surprise. By the end of the year, Naruto was already a master of the Uzumaki style, and that of the 7 swordsmen of the mist. In the 5th year, Naruto began training his dojutsu. At first he had to start with 3-bladed Sharingan, to get used to it, and then he was able to train its evolutions with the help of the 4 Uchihas. He trained the Rinnegan, with the help of Nagato, and was able to control the roads perfectly. Finally the Byakugan, with the help of Niji, he was able to get used to it, and during that training time he awakened the Tenseigan. He also began training the taijutsu styles of the Uchiha, Senju, and Hyuga clans. By the end of the year, Naruto had the perfect Susanoo, and also combined it with his Karama chakra form. He could control Amaterasu, just like his friend Sasuke, so much so that he created the same element called Enten. His Tsukuyomi and Koto Amatsukami genjutsus were, from the point of view of the 4 Uchihas, hell. He could control his Kamui, like Obito, and had great control of his Rinnegan ways. He could also control the powers of the Tenseigan, which would be gravity control, and use his chakra mode, which was similar and just as strong as his Rikudo Senin Moto, only pale blue in color. In 6th year, Naruto trained his Uzumaki and Kagaya clan Kekkai Genkai, as well as their respective taijutsu styles. He also trained the styles of taijutsu and kenjutsu given to him by the gods, as well as controlling the power of the Yamamoto sword, given to him by Susanoo. At the end of the year Naruto could perfectly control the Kekkai Genkai of the Uzumaki and Kagaya clans, and was also able to perfectly learn the taijutsu styles of the gods, who called it Kami no Ken, and that of kenjutsu, which he called Tentai Sai Bansho. And he was able to control 75% of the power of the Yamamoto sword. During the 7th year, at Sasori's request, Naruto began training with puppets, and not just any puppet, but another copy of Sasori's previous body. He also returned to training with the Toad Senjutsu, the Wood Senjutsu with the help of Hashirama, and the other summoning contracts that the gods gave him, where I can meet each one for half of this year. Naruto stood in a flat valley looking at the 6 summoning contracts that the gods gave them. Behind him, a little further away, were his senseis and the Bijus and Shubi forms watching what was happening. Naruto sat on the grass and signed the 6 contracts. At the end, the contracts disappeared in a burst of smoke, and within 2 seconds there were 6 large explosions of smoke. 6 different creatures appeared there. One is a large red-winged bird, which appeared to be on fire. Then a large black lizard appeared, with purple details and had 2 large wings on its back. Then a gigantic white tiger appeared, with black stripes. A large brown-furred gorilla followed. Then a large wolf with snow-white fur came out. And finally, a large white fox appeared, which was characterized by having 8 tails. Naruto, his senseis and the Bijus were surprised by the enormous beasts they saw in front of them. The Bijus could see and admit that the beasts had the power to rival the power of even the 7 tails. When the smoke dispersed completely, the beasts began to look everywhere to see who summoned them, until they stopped and saw Naruto, and were surprised by his great power. There they assumed that he was the one who summoned them. Whoa, whoa, the great bird on fire spoke with a calm voice. It seems we have a would-be summoner. You are not wrong, and it seems to be strong, the great lizard spoke with an imposing voice. But what am I saying? It's exaggeratedly strong. You are very right, the great white tiger spoke with a funny tone. He's ridiculously strong. Ha 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 ha. Hey boy, the big gorilla spoke, looking at Naruto. You were the one who summoned us? The other summons also paid attention to his response. Yes, I was the one who summoned them, Naruto spoke, still surprised, but he composed himself so he could introduce himself. Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze called me, it's a pleasure. I see. So young but with enormous power, said the great white wolf with a tone of intrigue. Interesting. This boy exudes a very familiar power, the huge fox thought doubtfully. But from who? I understand then, Naruto, right? To get our consent to use our contract, we first have to give you a test, and it doesn't matter if you have already signed our contract. The gigantic bird looked seriously at Naruto. If you fail the test, we will delete your name from our contract, and you will not have another chance. Naruto just nodded and spoke. Okay, Naruto said with determination. I will take the test. The summons were a little surprised by the boy's determination. Then they approached Naruto, staring into his eyes, and then seeing his memories. They were surprised by the whole story he lived, from the sad and painful beginning and a happy ending, and also by the purity of his heart. JC, here Naruto suffered much more than in the canon. Interesting, you suffered a lot, but you never wanted to take revenge. In fact, you wanted to be recognized. That is honorable, the gigantic bird nodded with approval. I don't know what the other's decision is, but I accept that you are the one who has our contract. Then she bowed to Naruto. In short, I, Ronin, the Holy Phoenix, give you permission to use the Phoenix contract. It will be a pleasure to serve you, Naruto-sama. Naruto was surprised but composed himself when a red bracelet appeared on his right arm. And you're not the only one, Ronin Dano spoke, the lizard, who also bowed to Naruto. Because I, Onyx, the Black Emperor Dragon, give you permission to use the dragon contract. It will be a pleasure to serve you, Naruto-sama. Naruto was surprised again, but he composed himself when another bracelet appeared on his right arm, only this one was black. JC, who can see the spoilers in the Onyx presentation? Not only are you strong, but also pure of heart. I have already made my decision. The tiger then bowed before Naruto. I, Yako, the mountain tiger, give you permission to use the contract of the white tigers. It will be an honor to fight alongside you, Naruto-sama. Naruto for some reason saw his right arm where a white bracelet appeared. Ha! You're not the only one, Yako Dano the gorilla said with a smile, then bowing to Naruto. Because I, Rira, the mountain breaker, give you permission to use the gorilla's contract. We will not disappoint you, Naruto-sama. At that moment a brown bracelet appeared on Naruto's right arm. Hehehe. It seems that we all saw something unique in this boy. There is no doubt, said the white wolf, and then bowed. I, Shiroi, the blizzard wolf, give you permission to use the contract of the snow wolves. We will be at your service, Naruto-sama. At that moment another bracelet appeared on Naruto's right arm, only this one was blue. I see, that's why I felt that familiar energy, since you are the bearer of our father, the great fox spoke, and then bowed. And if so, I, Hitomi, the fox of hell, give you permission to use the fox contract. We will be at his service, Naruto-sama. Another bracelet appeared on Naruto's arm, but it was orange, while he wondered what Hitomi was referring to, until someone approached from behind him. Wow. Long time, Hitomi Kurama spoke with the typical smile of him looking at Hitomi. She noticed Kurama's presence and bowed to him. I hope everything goes well on Fox Hill. It's a pleasure to see you again, Kurama-sama, Hitomi said calmly, still bowing before Kurama, while he only nodded his head. And yes, everything is going well on the Mount of Foxes. Naruto still had doubts, but he would ask Kurama later. Well, now that we're done, we'll leave, Ronin spoke. But first, if you want, summon a phoenix with a little chakra on the red bracelet, and then you do the jutsu, and also the same with the other contracts, only that the one for the dragons you will do it with the black bracelet, the one for the tigers white with the white bracelet, the gorillas one with the brown one, the white wolves one with the blue one, and the foxes one with the orange one. And don't worry about the toad contract, you just have to do the normal jutsu without touching any bracelet. Ready, now we say goodbye. Before disappearing, they made a final bow, and then disappeared in an explosion of smoke. During the training of the senjutsu of the contracts, Naruto could see the difference of each one. Like that of the phoenixes, that when he used it, wings of fire grew, and his whole body was surrounded by fire. His abilities were great regeneration and great control with fire, and obviously flying with his wings. The one of the dragons grew dragon wings, fangs, and claws. And his abilities were great use of fire and lightning, and a lot of strength and speed. The one from the white tigers made him have feline characteristics, how to make his mustache more noticeable, his nails grew longer, and his white tiger ears and tail grew. His abilities would be great handling with water and wind, and increased agility and speed. The gorillas made his muscles become more toned. And his abilities would be great ground handling, along with enormous strength and agility. The one from the snow wolves grew white wolf ears and a tail. And his abilities would be great handling of water and ice, with great speed and agility. And finally, the one about the foxes, where fox ears and 9 tails grew. And his abilities would be great strength, agility, and speed. In the 8th year, Naruto trained the Rikudo Sannin Moto and the Biju chakras separately, to have complete control of each chakra. By mastering the Rikudo Sannin Moto and the chakra of the Bijus, he was able to see a great change that surprised Naruto, his senseis, and the Bijus. The change was made up of 2 different forms. The first form, which would be the incomplete form, would be that Naruto was enveloped in a reddish chakra, giving him a humanoid form with 10 chakra tails. When using this form, he had the same power as the Jubi. And the first time he transformed, he was able to awaken the Rinna Sharingan, to everyone's surprises. And the last form, which would be the final form, which gave him a power equal to or greater than that of Bad Kagaya, and also gave him a great change, such as his hair growing to his waist, horns growing on his head, and where he was wearing the same kimono as Hagoromo's. And he was surrounded by 14 Gudadama. In the 9th year, it was pure study, from Fuinjutsu that had 30 levels, which he trained with the help of Mito and the scrolls that Hagoromo gave to Naruto. He also set out to study medical jutsu with the help of Hashirama and the scrolls of the Senju clan. He also trained the Hashiman Tanko with the help of Dai. By the end of the year, Naruto was a genius in Fuinjutsu, so much so that he created more levels until he reached level 35, much to the surprise of the 3 Uzumaki. And in medical jutsu he was equal to or superior to Hashirama. And with the Hashiman Tanko, he was able to reach the 8th gate, and thanks to the chakra of the Bijus and those of Ashura and Indra, there was no risk of dying, but if he spent a large amount of chakra. It should be noted that during the first years of training, Naruto's senseis also trained, something strange in Naruto's opinion. When I asked why they did it, they always said it's a surprise, so I just let it go. Currently, in a flat valley, a small friendly fight, or rather a battle of titans, was taking place. Those who faced each other were the 4 Uchiha, Itachi, Shursui, Obito, and Madara, each with his Susanoo, complete with him, against Naruto, who was also with his Susanoo, complete with him. One could say that Naruto was winning since he was hurting, or rather massacring, the poor Uchiha. And although Naruto did not have much experience with the technique like the 4 Uchihas, he won by differences, since his could be said to be a divine Susanoo, that is, it was 1,000 times stronger than the normal ones. So much so that not even the arrows, spears, or even the fists of the 4 Uchiha did not make a scratch on him. Far from them were the other Naruto senseis along with the Bijus in their chibi forms, watching the fight in amazement. Naruto was about to hit Madara, until she stopped because she sensed a chakra that was very familiar to him. This confused the 4 Uchiha, the 6, and the Bijus, until they felt that chakra making the Bijus smile. The 4 Uchiha and Naruto quickly deactivated their Susanoo, while the others approached, looking at a fixed point where a light could be seen that temporarily cut off those present. Where the light was, you could see an old man floating in the lotus position that many knew. "Wow, you have become strong," Naruto. Hagoromo spoke with a smile that made it obvious that he was happy. Naruto just nods with a smile. "I would say that you have surpassed me by a lot, that makes me happy." "Of course, I said it would make me strong," Naruto told him, and then looked at him curiously. "But changing the subject, if you are here, does it mean that I will be taken to the new world?" "You could say so," Hagoromo said, changing his gaze to look seriously at Naruto. "But rather it is a mission that the gods and the Supreme God are asking you to do in the other world." Naruto became serious. "And what would that mission be?" "Before telling you your mission, I will tell you a small summary of the world you will go to, so don't interrupt me because I won't repeat it." Then Hagoromo began to explain to Naruto about the world he was going to. Since the creation of that world, the supernatural existed and humans did not use chakra. The only exception was a small group, or rather faction, which would be the yokai faction. During the beginning, there were 3 factions that would be the biblical factions. One of them is the angel faction, a group made up of angels who live in the heavens, use sacred magic, and are governed by their leader and creator, the god. Biblical. With the help of their first children, the seraphim, who are characterized by having 6 pairs of wings, they would be the strongest angels in heaven. Another would be the demon faction, which was made up of 74 pillars or races that lived in hell. They were divided into classes: low, middle, high, and supreme. The latter would be the heads of each pillar. They are ruled by the 4 Mao, Lucifer, Beelzebub, Leviathan, and Asmodeus. For them, the sacred magic is a powerful poison, and they use elemental magic and are characterized by having bat wings. And finally, there is the faction of the fallen angels, who are angels who fell from grace and expelled from heaven for having committed a sin. They live in a base in hell called Grigori, who are governed by their leader Azazel. Although he was the weakest of the leaders of the other factions, he was a genius in all kinds of things and was helped by the cadres, who were angels, fallen with 6 pairs of wings. They are like angels, they can use sacred magic, they had superior technology and are characterized by having angel wings, only they were black. For millions of years, the 3 factions hated each other, so much so that they started a great war, which ended the lives of the 4 original Mao, as well as the biblical god, and heavy casualties for the fallen angels. Because of those losses, the 3 factions made a treaty to end the war. As time passed, many things changed, such as the angel Michael becoming the new leader of the angel faction. But in hell he was or is carrying something that would change a lot in the demon faction. Since after the death of 4 great original Mao in the Great War, their descendants attempted to continue their legacy by gathering their most loyal supporters and finishing what they started, the Great War, to realize the ambition of world domination that the original Mao desired. His intention, however, was rejected by a certain group of demons, the anti-Mao faction, who wanted to ensure the survival of the demons as a species, thus disapproving of the continuation of the Great War. This conflict eventually caused a civil war to break out among the demons. And that's what your mission is about, Hagoromo said, after the story. You will go to hell to help the anti-Mao faction win the war, since that faction has a better chance of creating peace with the other Bible factions. Then he looked at Naruto. Did you understand everything, Naruto? Naruto is surprised, along with the others, because they never believed a world like this existed. Yes, I understand, Naruto said, after getting out of his astonishment. Is that all I need to know? Well, there are also sacred weapons called sacred gear, Hagoromo said with disinterest. But that does not matter now. Naruto just nods and then looked away from Hagoromo, to see the people who helped him in training. Well, Naruto said sadly, I think this is goodbye. He enjoyed spending time with his family and friends, but he still didn't want them to leave. What are you talking about, Gaki? Zabuza spoke with a smile that was visible under his bandages. We are not going anywhere. That's right, son, Minato said. We will be sealed inside you, since Shinigami-sama told us to stay with you for a while in that world until we leave. We can also give you advice when you are there, Hashirama said with a smile, while the others nodded. Although you have already been in a war, we have already experienced that. In short, we will be of help to you. Naruto was glad since he could have more time with them. Naruto then went back to see Hagoromo. I'm ready, old Rikudo. Naruto declared with determination, and then noticed how his senseis, along with the bijus, returned inside him. Good, Hagoromo nodded with a smile, and then lowered himself to Naruto's height and created a portal. Listen, Naruto, this portal will take you near the base of the anti-Mao faction. When it arrives, you have to look for a red-haired man named Serzex Gremory. He would be one of the heads of the anti-Mao faction. You tell him that you will help them and don't worry, he'll believe you. He gave her one last smile as a farewell. Good luck. Naruto just made his famous smile and then went through the portal, which then closed, leaving Hagoromo alone. Today your story begins, Naruto, Hagoromo said into the air with a smile, looking at where the portal was. A story of how an entire world changes for the better, through the action of a person or people. He then disappeared into the same light with which he appeared. And Hagoromo was not wrong, since what was going to happen in hell would make everyone know the name of the hero of hell, who was called the son of the underworld. On a flat piece of land full of trees and grass, a place that everyone would think was land. But the difference was that the sky was purple and there were rocks floating for some reason. In an area of the land a portal appeared where a teenager of about 17 to 18 years old emerged. He was wearing black ANBU pants with orange stripes on the sides, a tight black t-shirt that made him notice his good physique, and over it he was wearing a sweatshirt, where on the chest, in the heart area, was the logo of the Uzumaki clan, like also in the center of the back. A mark that was most noticeable were the 3 whiskers like those of a cat or fox on each cheek and a large head of unruly red hair with golden tips and a small white tuft. When the portal through which the young man came closed, the teenager known as Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze looked around curiously. This is hell? Naruto spoke a little incredulously as he looked around him. I have to say I'm a little disappointed. Don't judge a book by its title, mate. Kurama told him from his mind with an amused tone. Naruto just nods since he was right. Well, if I remember, I was teleported near the base of the anti-Mao faction, Naruto said seriously, still looking around. I just don't know which direction. Then we will take advantage of the situation to test your sensory ability. Mito also spoke calmly in Naruto's mind. He's right, but you better concentrate, since as Hagoromo-sama said, demons use non-chakra magic like us, Ryu said calmly. So try to find the strongest energy signature. Naruto just nods, then closes his eyes to try to feel an energy signature. And thanks to his training and great wisdom from the gods, Naruto's sensory power could reach up to 100 kilometers. Naruto stayed like that for 2 seconds until he felt an energy signature. I detect a signature to the south about 10 kilometers away, Naruto said calmly, looking south. A demonic and dark energy. Then don't waste your time, Gaki Shikaka said with emotion. Walk. Naruto just nods, then disappears in a blur of speed. Along the way, Naruto could see destroyed cities and even people, from adults to children, who were living on the streets because of the war. That only made Naruto angry, who had a very clear objective. I will stop this ridiculous war. After a minute of travel, Naruto was able to visualize or detect a barrier of protection and camouflage. Naruto stopped before colliding with the barrier. Looks like we're here, Naruto said calmly, while analyzing the barrier, which in his opinion, was rubbish. But I still have a doubt. Which one? Kurama asked, intrigued by his partner's doubt. How will I make the demons believe that I will help them in the war? Naruto asked thoughtfully and a little nervous that the mission would go wrong. Maybe they think I'm a spy for the other side. Well, Isabu began. You could try to convince them the good way. Or the hard way, Shikaka interrupted in a funny way with a psychopathic smile. Like scaring them with your power, kicking their leader's ass or killing some of their soldiers to make them listen to you. You know, simple things. Naruto and the others within his subconscious sweat dropped at the one-tailed Biju's attitude. Well, whatever happens, happens. Naruto said calmly, and then walked forward, not remembering that there was a barrier. And because of its power and strength, the barrier broke with the contact of Naruto's body, who quickly realized it. Oops, my mistake. Meanwhile, his tenants within his subconscious shook their heads at his stupidity. While that happens to Naruto, in the center of the anti-Mao faction base, you could notice a tent larger than the others, the size of a house. A meeting was being held that would define the future of the demon race along with Hell. Inside the tent there was a large table with many people sitting. These people are the heads of the clans that support the anti-Mao faction, a total of 34 demon clans. And at the top of the table were 4 people, who were characterized by being chosen to command the war against the other side. These people were Sirzix Gremory, Serafal Citri, Ajuka Astaroth and Falbium Glaciolabilis. These 4 people were characterized by their great power and great intelligence that they possessed. Sirzix Gremory, a young man in his 20s with red hair characterized by the Gremory clan. Since he was little he was a genius in fighting, more because of his great control over the power of destruction that he inherited from his mother, who belonged to the Bale clan, who were the original possessors of this magic. Now Sirzix was one of the few of the demons who surpassed the power of a Mao. Serafal Citri is a beautiful black-haired girl who looked to be 17 years old. She is short, but with an enviable good body. She is also one of the strongest of her generation and was a possessor of ice magic that very few possessed. Although she was childish, she was a genius in fighting. Ajuka Astaroth, a green-haired young man in his 20s. Equally strong as Sirzix with his great power and skill with types of magic and a great intellect that no one in hell surpasses him. Falbium Glaciolabilis would say that he seemed the oldest of the 3 named since he appeared to be 25 years old. He is characterized by being lazy, but also a great strategist. He is also known for having a great defense against any magic from high-class demons onwards. The only ones who can break it were the 3 aforementioned. These 4 people stood out a lot since the civil war in Hell began. The heads of the Hell clans believed that they could be the next Mao if they won the war. Right now in the big tent the meeting was taking place on how to defeat the other side and end this war. Many leaders shouted and argued, as some wanted to attack the other side as quickly as possible, while others wanted to wait longer before the final attack. While the 4 aforementioned were not better, since they had a mess in their heads due to the problems they suffered during the civil war, such as the casualties they suffered and the few experienced soldiers, since the majority were young. And although they had a trusted spy on the other side monitoring and reporting their movements, but the information they revived couldn't help much right now. His thoughts about the discussion in the room were interrupted by a soldier who rushed into the tent. Tip. There is a problem. The nervous soldier couldn't finish because he froze in fear at the annoyed looks everyone gave him for interrupting the discussion. What does this interruption mean? A 30-year-old looking blonde-haired man, wearing a red suit with a black tie, asked angrily. This person is Lord Phoenix, the head of the Phoenix house or clan, who would be one of the 72 pillars of the underworld, which were characterized by their great regeneration similar to that of a phoenix. The soldier, who by the way was almost fainting from fear, could not respond due to fear as well. Until, to the soldier's relief, Sirzex spoke. Calm down now, Sirzex said calmly. Let him speak and tell us what the problem is. What he said made everyone in the room calm down. Sirzex then changed his calm look to a serious one, since in his opinion, it must be a big problem to interrupt the meeting. Then he directed his gaze from him to the soldier, which meant for him to continue speaking. The barrier. The soldier shouted in alarm. The barrier was destroyed. What he said surprised and alarmed the demons, so much so that they rose from their seats, thinking that they were being invaded by another faction. But everyone was brought out of their outburst by Ajuka's question. Who or what broke the barrier? Ajuka asked calmly, but inside he was nervous and surprised. Nervous because it could be a surprise attack from the other faction, where even if they defended themselves, they could not survive for another future attack. And surprised because someone could break the barrier that he himself created and made sure that the barrier could withstand a direct attack from a Mao. And it is not known who broke the barrier, said the soldier, still nervous because of the looks that everyone in the room was giving them. But we discovered that the barrier was broken from the southern sector and a group went to find out who it was. Others wanted to continue asking, but were interrupted by another soldier who entered waving. I reported from the south side, declared the agitated soldier who carried the information that everyone was waiting to know. It has already been discovered who broke the barrier. Who was he? Serafal asked, being serious to everyone's surprise, but they left it aside to hear the soldier's answer. Well, the soldier began. The one who broke the barrier was a human. Upon hearing his response, all the demons were in a state of shock. And it was not a surprise, since a human named Mere Human was able to break a barrier that can withstand a direct attack from a Mao. A human? A man spoke, coming out of shock to get angry. Stop talking nonsense. He is a middle-aged man with long blood-red hair and a small beard of the same color. He was wearing a white suit with a black tie. This is Zeoticus Gremory, head of the Gremory house or clan. It's true, Lord Gremory, the soldier said nervously because of the angry looks he received. Although we also believe that he is a yokai since we feel a little natural energy in him. And did you find out what he's doing here? Falbium asked with a bored face, but with interest since he heard that a human, or a yokai, broke the barrier. He was analyzing the whole situation in case he could be a scapegoat for the other side. When we asked him what he was doing here, he told us that he wanted to talk to you, Sirzex-sama. The soldier reported with a bit of seriousness, looking at the newly appointed redhead who was surprised because he wanted to talk to him. The others who were also in the tent were also surprised, while Sirzex were thinking why a human or yokai was looking for him and also if he should talk to him, until he made a decision. Bring him here. Sirzex ordered seriously, receiving surprised looks from the people in the tent and an affirmation from the two soldiers, who quickly retreated. While the room remained silent, thinking why one of their commanders agreed to speak with the human, or yokai. While his three closest friends were also wondering why he accepted, since Sirzex had a feeling that the person he was going to see and talk to would bring important changes to this war. About 3 minutes passed when the two soldiers who came out returned, but not alone, since they were accompanied by 4 other soldiers who were surrounding a person more like a boy between 18 to 19 years old with slightly tanned skin and blue eyes. Like the sky, with red hair with golden tips and a small white tuft, and wearing clothes, which in his opinion were strange. When the young man remained in the center of the table, everyone in the room looked at him with curiosity, others analyzing him and one with interest. Until Sirzex spoke. Are you the person who wanted to talk to me? Sirzex asked with a little serious, but at the same time calm, looking analytically at the newcomer. That's right, but first I must introduce myself. Naruto spoke with his typical smile that made a black-haired girl with pigtails blush. I am Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, it's a pleasure. while the looks they gave Naruto changed to anger for speaking as an equal in front of some of his generals. And others were more curious about how the person remained calm in front of everyone without a hint of nervousness or fear. I see, I am Surzex Gremory, one of the generals of the anti-Mao faction. Surzex introduced himself with an honest smile, but without stopping analyzing Naruto. It's also a pleasure. By the way, sorry about the barrier, Naruto said sadly, scratching the back of his head. But then he smiled again. But don't worry. I myself will make you a barrier that will be 100 times more powerful than the one you had before. That comment brought different reactions, from surprise that a simple human had broken the barrier and others from curiosity because he said that he was going to make a barrier that would be 100 times better than the one they had. But the most curious and intrigued was Ijuka, since he created the barrier, and he was very sure that it would be the most powerful barrier he made during his entire life of research. And he could also tell that he was not lying, but his thoughts were interrupted by a question from one of the generals/friends of his. And could we know what brings him here? Falbium asked with a bored but at the same time serious tone, while in his mind he was thinking what a human is doing here and how he broke the barrier. And also that his warrior and strategist instincts told him to be careful with Naruto. Easy, Naruto said with a smile. I came to help them win the civil war. The way he said it as if he were the simplest thing in the world, causing his subconscious tenants to slap their heads and the people in the room to look shocked. What? Lord Phoenix looked at him angrily. Do you really think that you, a simple human, can help us in the war and create a barrier more powerful than the one we had? He mocked with an arrogant smile. Ha, don't make me laugh. When Naruto and the room heard what Lord Phoenix said, some of the heads of their respective clans or houses had the same thoughts and reactions, while others thought the opposite. Some of them were the 4 generals who had a feeling that Naruto he wasn't just any human. While he thought about how to make them believe him, until he came up with one. How about a battle? Naruto offered with a smile, getting everyone's attention. A battle? Lord Phoenix asked with a raised eyebrow. Yes, Naruto said with a challenging smile. Me against your best soldier. And if I win, I will show that I can help in the war. But if I lose, I will do what you want. Upon hearing Naruto's proposal, some were surprised, while others laughed. But they accepted, some to see that he hides the human and others to see it used as a broom by some of his soldiers. To then debate who Naruto was going to fight, but they were stopped by someone's voice. I will fight against him. Surzex said seriously, surprising those present, but more so his parents and his 3 friends. Are you sure about this, Surzex? Ijuka asked him, unsure of the decision of one of his friends. Calm down, Surzex said as he looked analytically at Naruto, while he continued with his challenging smile. Also, I think this human is more than what he seems. Then everyone left to head to the nearest training field. While Naruto was also alone with the same soldiers watching him, and later everyone was surrounding the field, including soldiers or other people who joined in to watch the fight. In the center of the field stood Naruto and Surzex, facing each other, looking at each other analytically. They were also surrounded by a barrier provided by Ijuka. You know, Naruto-san. Surzex gave him a kind smile. I'll let you take the first hit. For some reason that offended Naruto. Okay, Naruto smiled. But you wanted it. Then he disappeared in a blur of speed that surprised Surzex, but he put it aside to barely avoid a flying kick from Naruto that was aimed at his head. Dash, but when did dash? Surzex could not finish his thought as he had to dodge another blow from Naruto, who came from the front, covering himself with his arms, and then retreated a few steps. Wow, you're fast, Naruto smiled at him. So much so that you were able to dodge 2 blows at my average speed. But Naruto was lying, since he was using his low speed. Well, at least the speed goes down from it with the weight seals on. Surzex was surprised when he heard that, but he composed himself, and then attacked Naruto at great speed. While he did the same, starting a great even hand-to-hand fight. Naruto was using his father's taijutsu style, where he dodged easily while attacking quickly and at critical points on the body. While Surzex, it was very difficult to dodge the attacks, and when he attacked, Naruto dodged them as if it were nothing. The spectators watched the fight surprised at how a human was doing against some of his generals. Others thought that his general was being benevolent towards the human, but then they were shocked when they saw how Surzex was trying hard to avoid Naruto's blows. While Ijuka, Serafal, and Falbium had different reactions. Ijuka was surprised but didn't show it. Falbium was trying not to look impressed and was also trying to analyze the battle to see who was going to win, but unfortunately you could say that they were technically evenly matched, and Serafal, let's just say, was concentrating more on Naruto than on the battle, since Serafall, for a strange reason, something attracted her to Naruto, but she didn't know it, but she would find out. After a few minutes of hand-to-hand fighting, Naruto and Surzex distanced themselves. Surzex looked a little tired, while Naruto was normal, like he hadn't done anything. Then Surzex spoke surprised and with a smile. Yes, you are strong. Naruto smiled back. And you are not left behind. Well, I thought I would have to use this, Surzex said calmly. But it seems I was wrong. Then a kind of black energy with red touches appeared in his hands. Wow, Naruto looked impressed by the black energy, as it emanated great power. What's that? This is the power of destruction, Surzex explained. A power capable of turning everything it touches into ashes. Naruto was shocked to hear that. But he put it aside to avoid a ball of destruction that collided with the ground, showing how it began to disintegrate, creating a small crater. Shall we start with ranged attacks? Then take this, Naruto said, and then just did the Tora hand seal. Katon, Karya, Endin. Afterwards, a large amount of fire came out of his mouth, completely enveloping Surzex, who had no time to dodge it. When the smoke from the explosion cleared, Surzex could be seen with small burns and a layer of power of destruction, covering him like a shield. Dash, unbelievable, Surzex thought surprised. Dash, if I hadn't reacted sooner it would have hurt me a lot. Surprised by the gigantic explosion of fire, a very strong fire, so much so that it was able to do a little damage even with the power of destruction cloak. It even seemed equal to or more powerful than the fire of the Phoenix clan. But he put that aside when he saw that Naruto was nowhere to be found until he heard a voice behind him. Suiton Daibakufa no Jutsu. A large torrent of water formed in front of Naruto, forming a gigantic wave that hit Surzex hard, where he received great damage. But he quickly gathered himself to charge a large amount of power of destruction, throwing it at Naruto, where he received it squarely. But to Surzex's surprise, Naruto exploded like a smoke bomb. But what dash? Surzex was able to finish as Naruto appeared below him saying something that would be a trauma for him in the future. Tikoku no Aikyo. Naruto then punched Surzex's jaw using now the Uzumaki Taijutsu style called Yuzu Tikoku Hakuryoka. It was such a strong blow that it caused a sling of wind. When Surzex received the blow, it hurt so much that he almost fell into unconsciousness, but he resisted but could not prevent blood from coming out of his mouth. Well, you were able to withstand the blow, Naruto said calmly as he looked at Surzex, who was wiping the blood from his mouth. Surzex was trying to resist the pain of the blow, but he was also surprised by the powerful blow. But I'm just getting started. Naruto then disappeared again in a blur of speed, to then be in front of Surzex, giving him the same blow only in the stomach, causing another wave of air and drawing more blood from Surzex's mouth. But he didn't finish as Naruto continued to deliver many blows in the same way so fast that Surzex couldn't dodge them. After 5 minutes of suffering through Surzex, Naruto separated from him, giving him many bruises, blood coming out of his mouth, and a few broken bones. Dash, what kind of blows are these? Surzex thought surprised and very, very sore from all the blows he received. Dash, I have never felt such strong blows. But Surzex stood determined to win the fight. So he began to emanate a gigantic amount of power of destruction, to make one last very powerful attack to ensure his victory. Seeing Surzex's intentions, Naruto for the first time began to be just seals, planning to use a jutsu that could possibly counter or match Surzex's attack. As Naruto prepared, Surzex launched a gigantic pillar of very powerful power of destruction, aimed at Naruto. All the spectators, who by the way were before with their mouths open surprised by the state of Surzex due to the beating that Naruto gave him, but quickly changed their expression when they saw Surzex's attack, thinking that the fight was already winning, but they would never have it was known that Naruto was going to counteract it with a technique or power capable of surpassing or rivaling the power of destruction. Jinten, Genkai Hakuri, Hashira. Then, a transparent cylinder appeared between Naruto's hands that seemed to have a glowing white core. Later, that cylinder enlarged and extended against Surzex's attack, causing the two techniques to collide with each other, producing a gigantic explosion that almost broke the barrier that surrounded them. When the smoke from the explosion dispersed, a scene could be seen that surprised the spectators, since inside, on one side, Naruto was seen calmly with a little dust or dirt on his clothes from the explosion, and on the other side he was to Surzex's unconscious. Everyone, seeing one of his generals and his friend unconscious and injured, quickly undid the barrier to heal him and then realized that Naruto was near Surzex with his arms extended towards him with a strange greenish aura in his arms. Hands. What are you doing? Ajuka asked about Naruto's action, while he came along with everyone who saw the fight. Healing his wounds. Naruto responded simply as he continued healing Surzex. Hearing the answer, Ajuka was surprised as he saw how the wounds and burns healed instantly, and then asked again something that everyone wanted to know. Who are you really? Ajuka looked at him seriously, while the others wanted to know who or what was strong enough to defeat one of their generals. Hearing Ajuka's question, Naruto first saw Surzex state seeing that he was fine, and then looked at Ajuka and said while he smiled. As I said before, I am Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, Naruto said as he crossed his arms with one of his typical smiles. And I am a ninja. JC, as in the image above, only without being transformed. Everyone was surprised when they heard that, while Seraphol blushed at the smile Naruto gave. But they put it aside when they saw how Surzex began to wake up. What happened? Surzex asked a little pained, as he tried to get up while being helped by his friend Falbium. Believe it or not, you lost the fight. Falbium answered him, as he helped him up. Really? Surzex then looked at Naruto in surprise. Wow, she really is strong, Naruto-san. You are not far behind either, Surzex-san. Naruto told him with a smile, besides being a little surprised since Surzex's power could reach the power of an average Kage. Then from now on it will be an honor to fight alongside you, Naruto-san. Surzex gave it with a smile, as he extended his hand towards Naruto. I say the same, Surzex-san. Naruto smiled too, as he shook hands with Surzex, not only marking a new friendship, but also a new salvation and future for the underworld. In the underworld, 2 months had already passed since the fight between Surzex and Naruto, and also how the latter joined in the war to help the anti-Mao faction. And during those days many changes happened in the war, which were in favor of the anti-Mao faction. The first thing Naruto helped with was to create, through Fuinjutsu, a better barrier to protect and hide the base of the anti-Mao faction. It should be noted that when the demons saw the barrier, they were surprised by the improved barrier, but the most surprised was Ajuka, so much so that he asked Naruto how he did it, causing the demon in question to become interested in Fuinjutsu and try to replicate it through magic with the help of Naruto. Also during that time Naruto helped train the soldiers at Surzex's request. At first the soldiers refused to be trained by Naruto because he was a human, but they agreed after the beating that Naruto gave them, causing all the forces of the anti-Mao faction to have respect towards Naruto. Naruto also began a friend-slash-rival friendship with Surzex. And the two always had duels where Naruto always won. Although they also tied when Surzex used his true form with the power of destruction, but not with all its power since it could cause a lot of destruction. Naruto also began a friendship with Ajuka and Falbium, where Naruto always helped Ajuka with his research to be able to use Fuinjutsu with magic, and with Falbium he played chess where they always tied. While with Seraphol at first they had a bit of a strange relationship, since Naruto couldn't start a conversation with her, since every time he tried to talk to Seraphol, she would blush and make an excuse to get away from him. But as time went by, Seraphol began to get closer to Naruto, thus forming a stronger relationship, causing Naruto to become interested in her, so much so that they began to call each other more affectionately, much to the chagrin of some girls within his subconscious. Naruto was also able to establish a friendship with Lord and Lady Gremory, Citri and Phoenix, where the latter Lord Phoenix began to respect Naruto for the strength and power that he showed during the battle against Surzex. Also during that time the anti-Mao faction was able to win battles against the ancient Mao faction, little by little recovering the territories in the underworld. When the battles were taking place, Naruto with his Tajukage Bunshin no Jutsu and the Taijutsu of the Uzumaki clan was able to turn the war around. Thanks to those achievements, Naruto was nicknamed Naruto Thousand Clones by both the anti-Mao faction and the ancient Mao faction, causing the ancient Mao faction to become aware of Naruto's presence, causing some to worry about the power he possessed and others to not care as they thought the anti-Mao faction was desperate to ask a puny human for help. Naruto was also able to meet Surzex's secret informant, only known to the top brass of the anti-Mao faction called Graphia Lucifuge, who was a servant of the Lucifer clan. According to Surzex, he met Graphia during a battle, where she was sent to the front by the ancient Mao faction. Surzex did not tell Naruto the reason because he trusted Graphia and because she helped them, but later he learned the reason thanks to Seraphol. At that moment Naruto could only laugh knowing that both Surzex and Graphia fell in love during the battle. Right now, in the main tent, A meeting was taking place where the leaders of the clans affiliated with the anti-Mao faction, the 4 generals and Naruto participated, the latter included by the consent of the 4 generals. The meeting was discussing the upcoming attack on the ancient Mao faction, an attack that if successful could be the end of the war with the victory of the anti-Mao faction. So if the attack goes well, the war will end? Naruto asked Sirzex seriously. Yes, in the capital Lilith there is most of the forces of the ancient Mao faction as well as the leaders of the clans affiliated with them, Sirzex answered seriously, and then put on an angry expression. As also the current leaders of the Lucifer, Leviathan, Beelzebub and Asmodeus clans. Naruto, seeing how angry his friend was not surprised since he knew all the things that the leaders of the 4 Mao clans did, such as trying to provoke another great war just to have the demons rule over the 3 Bible factions without matter the decisions of the other clans, and the possible extinction of the demon race if they lose. And we have the advantage of having taken Fort Leviathan, added Ajuka, remembering one of the great blows that the ancient Mao faction suffered from the anti-Mao faction. It was during the middle of the 2nd month when Fort Leviathan was attacked by an army of Naruto clones, who were responsible for distracting and buying time for Falbium to arrive with the army. That day many of the Leviathan clan as well as some other clans died or were imprisoned, causing the ancient Mao faction to lose some of its forces. That blow was one of Naruto's great achievements, since the clones were fighting for 3 days in a row. Yes, but we still have a problem. Lilith has great security both inside and out, and we cannot teleport using magic circles through the barrier that surrounds her, Falbium reported. And if we try to break the barrier, we would alert them, ruining the surprise attack. Everyone agreed that that was a problem. Everyone was trying to think of a solution, but their thoughts were cut off when Naruto spoke. I think I have a way to take the entire army without alerting or destroying the barrier. What he said caught the attention of everyone in the tent. Which one would it be, Naruto? Sirzex asked, curious about the idea. Then Naruto explained the entire process of the plan to them. Interesting. Falbium was interested in Naruto's plan. But will it work? I'm completely sure it will work. Naruto said that, being sure that his plan will work. Well, the plan will be carried out tomorrow, now we must prepare for the attack. Sirzex said that, and then ended the meeting. Everyone started to leave the tent to prepare everything for tomorrow, but Naruto was stopped by Seraphol. Hey, Naruto-kun, Seraphol nervously itches. Can we talk in private? Of course, Sarah-chan. Naruto nodded with his typical smile, bringing a blush to Seraphol's cheeks. They stayed for a few seconds until only the 2 of them were left in the tent. Seraphol squirmed nervously. Well, what I wanted was to ask you something. Naruto looked at her, curious. And that would be? Well, if everything goes well tomorrow and we win the war. Seraphol looked at Naruto with fear. You're not leaving, are you? Seraphol knew that Naruto was only in the underworld to help in the civil war, and he was afraid that he would never see him again if they won the war. Hearing the question, Naruto became serious. If everything goes well tomorrow, maybe I would stay for a few days. But at some point I will have to leave. He was also sad, since he would also miss everyone and Seraphol the most. Naruto knew that he was sent to this world to live its life. But he wanted to go around and see everything, even go to other factions to meet more people or even help them with something. He also believed that the other gods, as well as the Supreme God, would give him more missions like this. Then Naruto smiled at him. But that won't stop me from coming back to visit. Those words calmed Seraphol a little, but still a little afraid. Good. Seraphol nodded, then looked at Naruto with a pout. But promise me that you will send me letters. Naruto just smiled as he couldn't help but think that Seraphol looked cuter with that pout. I promise. They stayed for a few minutes talking about what was going to happen tomorrow, and then went out to organize everything for the attack. The next day, in the center of Lilith, a large Victorian-style mansion could be seen. Some would think that someone important or rich lived in that mansion. Well, they were not wrong. Since one of the most important clans of the underworld lived in that mansion, as well as the first demonic clan, which would be the Lucifer clan. Since the beginning of this world there was an angel created by the biblical God himself. This angel was known as the light-bearing angel, Lucifer. Like every angel, he lived in heaven with his brothers and his father. But later he believed himself to be someone powerful and became arrogant, so much so that he tried to overthrow his father, the biblical God, to take power and dominate the entire world as well as eliminate other pantheons such as the Olympians or Asgardians. But he failed, causing his exile from heaven, but that did not stop his ambition to dominate the world. During his exile, he met a woman named Lilith who was the ex-wife of Adam, the first human. With her and some angels who followed him for sharing Lucifer's ideals, they were able to create the demon faction. And years would pass where the demon race would grow, with many demons with incredible and surprising abilities, giving birth to the 72 pillars of the demon faction. In the mansion was an albino man sitting on a throne. This man was Riasavim Levan Lucifer, head of House Lucifer, as the son of the original Lucifer and Lilith, who had the title of the mother of all demons. Haven't you yet discovered who the human is who is helping the anti-Mao faction? Riasavim asked authoritatively to the person who was kneeling in front of him. Nothing important, Lucifer-sama, the man responded politely. We only know that he calls himself Naruto, and he possesses the ability to make solid copies of himself, and that he is powerful in both strength and speed. That man was about 20 years old, with long white hair. He was wearing a butler's outfit showing that he worked as a servant of the mansion. This person was Euclid Lucifuge, belonging to Clan Lucifuge, a clan that served Clan Lucifer since the beginning of the demonic faction. Euclid was not only Riasavim's exclusive butler, but also his right-hand man. He is the most devoted and loyal to Riasavim, so much so that he did not hesitate to follow him when the civil war began in the underworld. But we also have suspicions that he is a yokai. Euclid continued speaking while still kneeling. Since some demons who were able to escape from Fort Leviathan felt senjutsu in it, but we cannot be sure. I see, Riasavim said calmly. Leaving the topic of the human, have you discovered what the anti-Mao faction's next plan is? We couldn't find anything either, Euclid responded politely, but with a little nervousness when he saw that his leader made a face of frustration at the answer. The spies we sent couldn't get past the barrier. Riasavim was angry, and it was no surprise. First, it all started with that human. At first, he believed that the anti-Mao faction was desperate for war, so much so that they asked a human for help, but upon seeing the ability of said human, he became a little worried. When he learned that the human could make copies of himself, he was surprised, since there was only one person who could make copies of himself, and that was the Buddha's son Wukong, who was able to make copies with his hair. Also that he had incredible strength capable of killing with a single blow and unparalleled speed. But what surprised and angered him the most was when the anti-Mao faction took over Fort Leviathan, but he became angrier when he learned that the human himself caused the fall with an army of clones who fought for 3 days. Riasavim wanted to win the war, as this was an obstacle to his goals, which was not world domination like what his father or the other original Mao wanted. What Riasavim wanted was to show the world what a true demon was, beings that have to be malignant, perverse, brutal, evil, scum, incorrect, beasts and depraved. That is his role, to kill every person he doesn't like, and he would make the world see it and suffer it. And he would fulfill it. If someone got in the way or was a threat, he would not hesitate to kill him or his entire family. But his thoughts were interrupted by the door being roughly opened by a soldier. Lucifer-sama, have. The soldier could not continue because Riasavim was giving him an angry look and unleashing his power, causing him to freeze in fear. What is so important for you to interrupt here? Riasavim asked him sternly while still releasing the power from him. It's www. The soldier only stammered, as he was fainting from fear. Lucifer-sama, Euclid spoke calmly. If he continues to release his power like this, we will not be able to know what happens. Although he is also nervous about Riasavim's power. Riasavim just huffed in annoyance, and then stopped releasing his power to relieve the soldier, but he became nervous again seeing his angry face, which meant, keep talking or I'll kill you. We have an intruder from the anti-Mao faction. Riasavim, upon learning the information, only raised one of his eyebrows. Just that? Riasavim asked boredly, thinking that he was a simple spy who was discovered. Capture him and then torture him to obtain information from the anti-Mao faction. Well, Lucifer-sama, the soldier nodded nervously, since he had to add something. But the problem is that the intruder is the famous human Naruto 1000 clones, and the strangest thing is that he asks to speak with the leaders of the Mao clans. Riasavim, knowing that the intruder was the human he hates so much, could only put on a macabre smile. I see, Riasavim said without stopping his macabre smile. Where is he now? It is located south of Lilith, the soldier answered nervously. And the other leaders have already been notified, now they should be there. Good, Riasavim agreed. Euclid. Then Euclid appeared next to him, and then a teleportation circle formed below the two. Although the barrier surrounding Lilith prevents the teleportation circles, that does not include them, since Euclid himself was the one who created the barrier, giving it the configuration so that only the leaders of the 4 Mao clans, as well as the clan's affiliates, can use teleportation circles. But before the two were teleported, Rias looked at Soldier, then a magic circle of fire came out of his hand, and then launched a large burst of fire at him, burning and killing the screaming soldier. That was because I interrupted earlier, Rias said simply, as if he had never killed anyone. Then both Euclid and him were teleported by the magic circle. In the south of Lilith a clear valley could be seen, and in that valley there were many demons, or rather soldiers of the anti-Mao faction. And currently everyone was surrounding one person. All the soldiers looked in fear at the person they were surrounding, and it was not surprising, since the person was Naruto 1000 Clones, famous for defeating and killing many demons and for his power to make copies of himself. But among all the demons, only 3 looked at Naruto with different feelings that would be superiority, curiosity, and even lust. These people are Crozuri Asmodeus, Shalba Beelzebub, and Kateria Leviathan, leaders of the 4 Mao clans. Currently everything was silent, but that silence was interrupted by a magic circle where Rias and Euclid came out. It's about time you arrived, Rias. Shalba speaks calmly when she sees that she has just arrived. Yes, where is he? Rias asked, looking for the cause of all the commotion, until he saw Naruto, causing his macabre smile to appear again. First he appeared as if nothing had happened, and then he wants to talk to us, Shalba said, analyzing Naruto, who was just in the middle of everything with his arms crossed, acting as if he was waiting for something. It's very suspicious. For Shalba this was suspicious, since Naruto was able to pass without alerting the barrier, and the strangest thing is that he wanted to talk to them. Jujujujuju Kateria laughed lustfully and with a noticeable blush on her cheeks. He is very handsome. Kateria was already thinking about having Naruto as her personal slave. He's just an insignificant human, Crozuri said with arrogance, totally belittling Naruto. Now let's take advantage and kill him before he continues giving us problems. Crozuri thought that Naruto was just a normal, average human and that all those rumors about him were exaggerations. No, Rias denied with a smile. I want to know that he wants to talk to us. Then he calmly advanced to where Naruto was along with Crozuri, Shalba, Kateria and Euclid, the latter going a little further away. Seeing who was coming towards him, Naruto could only smile to see that his plan was going in the right direction. Rias and the others were finally in front of Naruto. They remained silent for a few seconds, which were then cut off by Rias. Ah yes, Rias smiled macabrely. You are the famous Naruto 1000 Clones, right? Naruto smiled back. And you must be Rias Lucifer, right? Oh, Rias laughed amusingly. It seems like you know me. Something like that, Naruto said. I heard about you from Surzex. Naruto's smile widened when he saw the angry grimace Rias made when he mentioned Surzex, but quickly as the grimace appeared it changed back to his macabre grin. Among all the demons of his generation, Rias hated Surzex the most. He and his friends were one of the causes that caused the rebellion of half of the clans against the 4 Mao clans. Furthermore, he also hates him because he surpasses him in power and strength, something that broke his pride when he was surpassed by another demon who did not even belong among the clans of the 4 Mao. Changing the subject, Rias looked at Naruto curiously. What did you want to talk to us about? I just want to ask you. Naruto then looked at him seriously. Let them surrender. When Naruto said that, he had many reactions, including fury from Crozuri and Euclid, since he insulted them that this human told him to surrender. Suspicion on Shalba's part. For him it was suspicious that only Naruto came to ask for that, knowing that it would never happen. And Kateria didn't care, she just continued ogling Naruto with her eyes. But for Rias that comment made his smile widen, but he also became offended. Oh? Let's give up? Rias asked with an amused tone, clarifying that he was laughing at what Naruto said. No, I can't do that. I see, Naruto said seriously, but with a dangerous voice showing that he did not like the answer. Then it seems that we will continue fighting. And the feelings or emotions that they gave off didn't help either. From superiority to greed. Naruto knew why they wanted to continue the great war against the other biblical factions, just to gain power, but the one that bothered him the most and made him sick were the ideals of Rias. According to Surzex, Rias did not want domination, he only wanted to spread chaos and evil to the world, and only because, in Rias' opinion, that's what a demon should do. That bothered Naruto a lot since in his childhood he was called and considered a demon in his village and he never wanted to take revenge or anything like that. What he did was earn the respect of his village, which he was able to achieve. His thoughts were cut off by Ryzavim's words. Yes, but not you, Ryzavim said, and then gave a sign with his hand. In seconds, the thousands of soldiers present there prepared to attack Naruto with elemental magic, who realized this and was not surprised. Ryzavim smiled macabrely. You have been a problem since you appeared, but that ends now. Without Naruto in the way, they still had a chance to win the civil war, and he believed that he would not be able to against multiple magic attacks. Naruto just lowered his head, making his hair cover his eyes a little. Ryzavim thought he saw how his eyes turned purple, but he left it aside. Any last words? Ryzavim asked him, still smiling, ready to give the signal for them to attack Naruto. Yes, Naruto nodded with a stoic expression, then looked up and showed the Rinnegan in all its splendor. Shinra Tensei. In an instant, a gigantic force pushed everyone away, canceling the magical attacks and sending all the soldiers thousands of meters back. Ryzavim and the others were shocked when an invisible force pushed them, causing them to collide with everything or each other. I tried to do this the peaceful way, Naruto said as he approached them calmly. But it seems that it didn't help. Then he started making hand seals, which he confused the demons. It's time to end this war, Kuchios, Guntai. Then he hit the ground with the palm of his hand. When Naruto struck with the palm of his hand, many symbols appeared that covered the place for thousands of meters. What happened next impressed the ancient Mao faction, as thousands of demons began to appear in explosions of smoke. What they saw was that Naruto literally summoned all the forces of the anti-Mao faction, or at least some of them. But what? Ryzavim murmured in surprise that in less than a second, half of the anti-Mao faction's forces were with them. Impressive, right? Spoke a voice that Ryzavim knew very well. I was also surprised by such an idea. Surzex. Ryzavim glared at the newcomer, who was accompanied with Serafal, Ajuka and Falbium. Kruzuri, Xiaoba, Kateria and Euclid, also noticing the four aforementioned, also began to look at him with fury. Euclid! Ryzavim shouted. Warn all the forces that are dash. Suddenly Ryzavim was interrupted when an explosion was heard coming from the center of Lilith. Everyone from the ancient Mao faction was shocked to see the explosions coming from the Lilith center. Dash, what's going on? Ryzavim thought in surprise as he watched the explosions from afar. Lucifer-sama! Shouted a soldier, who seemed to receive information from a communication circle. We are informed that the anti-Mao faction is attacking Lilith from the north. Ryzavim was surprised to hear that. He was going to ask about that, but another soldier interrupted him. They are also attacking from the west. That. They are also attacking from the east. Another soldier shouted, also receiving the information from a communication circle like the previous two. Ryzavim was surprised, and he was not the only one, since Kateria, Kruzuri, and Xiaoba were the same. Ryzavim's head was in chaos. He wondered how everything had gone so wrong. Until one person came to mind, the only person who could pass without alerting the barriers, the only person who showed that I could move armies, and the only person capable of making copies of himself. His gaze shifted to that person who was smiling. You never had to underestimate me, Ryzavim. Naruto told him while still smiling, causing Ryzavim to explode with fury. This was Naruto's plan, all planned by him. He first had to appear at a point far from Lilith and draw the attention of the forces and affiliated leaders of the ancient Mao faction. Later, when they appeared, Naruto's clones, which they found at different points, summoned the rest of the forces to attack Lilith. Naruto thanked himself for having invented that jutsu that allowed him to summon armies. Ryzavim is over, Surzex said seriously, bringing Ryzavim closer together with Ajuka, Serafal and Falbium. Lilith will be under our command in a matter of time, so surrender peacefully. Do not declare victory yet, Surzex, Ryzavim said furiously, confronting them along with Kruzuri, Xiaoba, Kateria and Euclid. Maybe you surprised us with this surprise attack, but this then he released gigantic demonic power, making the ground tremble at his feet. It's not over. Everyone looked at each other, no one made a move. But that silence was cut by the impact of fists between Ryzavim and Surzex. And that's how it all began. It had been hours since the fight started. Surzex, Serafal, Ajuka and Falbium faced off against Ryzavim, Kateria, Xiaoba and Kruzuri, while the soldiers of the respective factions faced each other. Naruto was faced with the soldiers of the ancient Mao faction with ease and also did not want to intervene in the fight that his friends were having, knowing that they wanted to solve this by themselves. Rise of him was furious. Hours had passed, and he knew that the war was in favor of the anti-Mao faction. He even thought that Lilith was already ruled by them. All your ideals, all your plans broken by these who call themselves demons. Or at least that was Rise of him's thoughts. Furthermore, he knew that he and the others would not be able to continue fighting. Although he won't admit it, he knows that Surzex, Ajuka, Serafal and Falbium were stronger than them. In a nutshell, this was the day that the ancient Mao faction would fall. Surrender, Rise of him, Surzex said seriously as he looked at the very injured Rise of him. He was hurt too, but not as badly. You can't fight anymore. During the battle, Surzex had to show his true form, far surpassing Rise of him's power. And no, Rise of him said angrily. I won't let you get in the way of my plans. He didn't care if he was hurt, he would complete his plans. You are very stubborn, Naruto spoke, appearing next to Surzex. Rise of him didn't answer, they just glared at him. Then he looked at Surzex. Do you need help for those wounds? Naruto intended to help him with his Iryo ninjutsu. Surzex only denied it, and then returned to see Rise of him. It seems you don't see it, Rise of him, Surzex said seriously. You don't have a chance. Lilith must already be under our command. Then he looked at the very injured Kruzuri, Shalba and Kateria. And they can't continue either. He also noticed that another place far away was Euclid, fighting against his sister Graphia. Never, Rise of him muttered angrily with his head lowered. I don't care if you defeat me. I don't care if I get expelled from hell. Then he looked up from him, showing the pure fury in his eyes. I don't care if you kill all my subordinates. As long as I have my demonic powers, I will do everything possible so that the world enters a time of chaos and terror. Then he smiled madly. And neither you, nor anyone in this world will stop me. Surzex and Naruto, upon hearing his response, could only shake their heads. Wow, it seems like he's already lost all his sanity. Kurama spoke from Naruto's head. And it seems that he will not give up. Gyuki said, adding his opinion. Yes, but I think I have a way to make him give up. Naruto said, drawing the attention of everyone in his subconscious. And which one would be Souchi? Kushina asked, curious about the idea of her son. Naruto then began to explain his plan. Ho ho ho, Shikaka laughed evilly. Like. That would break his pride into pieces, Madara said, approving Naruto's idea with an evil smile. Good plan, kid? Not bad, Kurama said, and then smiled when he had an idea. But I will add something so that they don't underestimate you again. And what is it? Naruto asked, interested in what Kurama was going to say. These guys think they're a big deal because of their demon power, right? Kurama asked, and then smiled with emotion. Then let's show him a greater power. I understand, Naruto smiled as he understood Kurama's plan. Let's do that. Afterwards he came out of his subconscious and looked directly at Rise of him. You think you are superior to everyone because you are demons, right? Naruto asked, drawing the attention of Rise of him, who was still angry. Of course. Rise of him responded arrogantly. We demons are the most powerful beings, not even the gods can against us. I see, Naruto said seriously and with a little anger at Rise of him's arrogance. But you are wrong, there will always be someone more powerful than you and me, and I will show you now. When Naruto said that, it caused Rise of him to become more angry and Surzex, who was next to him, to become confused. Let's do this, Kurama. Yes. Then, to the surprise and intrigue of everyone present there, the ground began to shake, and it was not because of an earthquake, but rather a powerful power that they soon witnessed, and the most surprising thing is that it did not stop growing. Everyone was trying to find where that power came from, except for some people who were now in shock when they saw who it was that gave off such power. That person was Naruto. He gave off so much power that the ground where he was standing began to crack. Surzex, who next to Naruto, could only take a few steps back in shock at the power that Naruto gave off. Rise of him was the same, only with a feeling that he never thought he would feel, especially in a human. That feeling was fear, which was further increased by what he now saw, which was Naruto being enveloped in a large cloak of red energy, increasing his power to unprecedented heights. But what scared him was that a gigantic nine-tailed fox made of the same red energy appeared, completely enveloping Naruto. Surzex, who also saw the gigantic fox, could only say something. QB. He was very surprised. Currently there are few kitsunes in the Yokai's faction, among them is the current leader Yasaka, the only nine-tailed kitsune with a power capable of confronting a Mao. But the QB he was seeing was thousands of times more powerful, with a power that seemed like it would never end, a power that would be felt throughout the underworld. But this for Surzex only brought more questions about Naruto's identity. For Serafal, Ajuka and Falbium, who were also watching the scene a little further away, they were also surprised by Naruto's power. But Serafal, in addition to being surprised, was also excited by Naruto's power. There is a well-known fact in the supernatural world, and that is that all supernatural beings are attracted to power. The more power, the more attraction. Even more so for beings like demons who are the representation of sins. Meanwhile, Shalba, Kruzuri, and Kateria were not only surprised, but also scared by such monstrous power. Many of the soldiers or leaders who participated in the Great War could not help but be surprised since that power is on par with the celestial dragons, it could even surpass it. But what they didn't know was that both other factions and pantheons also felt Naruto's power. In heaven, home of the angels, everything was in chaos. The angels were scared and nervous because of the power they felt, but the most nervous were the seraphim. Recently, before the monstrous power appeared, the seraphim composed of Metatron, Raphael, Uriel and Gabriel and the current overlord or leader of the angels, Michael, who took the place when his father the biblical god died in the big war. They were having a meeting that could bring a big change not only for the angels, but also for the other Bible factions, and that would be the Devil's Civil War. They knew that if the ancient Mao faction won the Civil War, they would have to prepare for another possible Great War, as well as the possible extinction of the angels. Everyone was aware that if another Great War started, the angels would become extinct. But before continuing with that meeting, they felt that monstrous power that was capable of equaling the power of the biblical God, the same God who was placed in the top 3 of the most powerful beings in the world, on par with the Shinto gods and below Hindu gods. JC, you may be wondering, what is the difference between the Shinto gods and the gods that Naruto knows? Well, the answer will be later. Where does that power come from? Michael asked, surprised and nervous by the monstrous power they felt. No one could respond, because they were still in shock. But Gabriel was able to give an answer. Oni-sama Gabriel spoke, surprised by the power, but even more so by where it came from. This power comes from the underworld. So this power comes from a demon? Metatron asked, surprised by the new information and afraid that a demon had that monstrous power. No. Gabriel denied, almost in a whisper. Hey! Metatron was taken aback by what his sister said. The power is enormous and seems to come from a demonic entity, but this energy is warm and comforting, Gabriel said in a low voice, but enough for everyone to hear it. It's like it will purge all evil, it's beautiful. Everyone, upon hearing what Gabriel said, could only be more surprised, and how could they not be? Gabriel had a special power, that power allowed him to see people's souls as well as the emotions they felt. And everyone, upon learning that the one who gave off that power had no malevolent intention, could only sigh in relief. But they knew something. What happened today would bring many changes. Just like in heaven, in Grigori, home of the fallen angels, they were also in chaos due to the immense power. But the one who was most nervous and surprised was the current leader of Grigori and the fallen angels, Azazel, who was in his office with his research on the sacred gear. But when he felt that power, he was surprised and nervous, since he knew where the power came from. Like everyone in the supernatural world, he knew about the Devil's Civil War, as they also know that if the ancient Mao faction wins, they would have to prepare for another great war, something he didn't want. Azazel had not yet overcome all the deaths of his companions during the First Great War, and since that fateful day, he has done everything possible to avoid another possible war. His thoughts were cut off when the door to his office slammed open. Azazel, seeing who it was that entered his office, could see his colleagues/friends Barakil and Shemhazai, who had worried and nervous faces. It seems like they felt it too. Azazel told them seriously, but with some sweats. And how not to do it, Shemhazai said seriously, but a little nervous because of the monstrous power. It is a monstrous power. Yes, Azazel said, changing his seriousness to a mocking smile, but his nervousness was still noticeable. It seems that something interesting is happening in the Devil's Civil War. He was aware that the power they felt came from the demonic faction. Do you think it will be a threat? Barakil asked him seriously. He was aware that if that power came from a demon, it could be a threat, even more so if it belonged to the ancient Mao faction. It's possible, Azazel said. If that power comes from a demon of the ancient Mao faction, then we will have a lot of problems. Now Azazel will hope that there is not another possible war, especially if the owner of that power participated. But what Azazel and all the fallen angels did not know was that the owner of that power would bring a great change for the better. In a dark and gloomy place, which was surrounded by gigantic rocks or completely destroyed buildings, you could see destruction as well as suffering. Another characteristic were the people, or rather souls that traveled throughout the place, and not with happy faces, but with faces of agony and suffering. This place is neither more nor less than the kingdom of the dead, the same kingdom that was ruled by the god of the dead as well as one of the strongest demands, Hades, one of the main gods of the Olympic pantheon. Just a few minutes ago, before the monstrous power appeared, Hades was thinking about the events that would happen in the future, events related to the Devil's Civil War. And why was a god of rank like his interested in the demonic faction? One of those reasons were some demons like Serzex, Ajuka, or Rizavim. Many in the supernatural world knew about those devils, as they were recognized as the super devils of this era. Like Serzex, who possessed unparalleled power and had master control of the Baal clan's power of destruction. Furthermore, when he showed his true form, he is able to equal, or even surpass Hades, much to his anger. For Hades, all demons were a nuisance, and not only them, but also people or creatures from other mythologies, bothered him so much that his goal was to rid the world of these beings. But all his thoughts were interrupted by the monstrous power, which surprised Hades since this power far surpassed him. But what surprised him the most and made him a little angry was that the power came from the demon faction. Hades knew that this power was not that of Serzex or Rizavim, who are one of the few demons with the power to rival gods. This power belonged to another person, a person Hades did not know or recognize. Hades thought that perhaps he was an individual that the anti-Mao faction or old Mao faction hid to use in the Devil's Civil War. But Hades was also not sure that the owner of this power belonged to a demon. But what Hades did know is that if this person gets in the way of his plans, it will crush it. In Lilith, everyone was still in shock from the power that Naruto gave off, or they were dying of fear. And no, see it can be. Rizavim spoke in shock. Rizavim was surprised and fearful, and not only because of Naruto's power, but also because of the monstrous Zoro that he was forming from the same energy that covered Naruto. In all his years, Rizavim has never seen such a terrifying monster. It is as if he is seeing a ruthless and powerful monster. In short, he was seeing something very familiar to him, a demon. A demon fox. Do you see it, Rizavim? He will always see someone stronger than you and me, Naruto spoke calmly. And this proves it since this power does not belong to me. What he said angered Rizavim and caught Serzek's attention. You, damn you. Rizavim murmured with fury, so much so that he trembled with fury. It's time for you to pay for what you did, Rizavim, Naruto said seriously. And you will pay for that with your power. 16 golden chains came out from behind him, quickly binding not only Rizavim, but also Krozuri, Shauba, and Kateria by the arms and legs. These chains are, Kongo Fuza, is a Fuinjutsu used by members of the Uzumaki clan. Chains capable of physically restraining their opponent, as well as being able to absorb the energy of the person they are restraining. Damn it! Let go of me! Rizavim shouted angrily as he tried to break free of the chains along with Krozuri, Shauba, and Kateria. But they were surprised when they felt their energy being absorbed by the chains. Although the chains are made of chakra, they do not have that much difference with magical energy. The only difference would be that chakra is denser than magical energy. Naruto just continued looking at them seriously, and then 4 arms made of the same energy appeared on the body of the gigantic fox, and quickly went to the 4 demons for the next technique. Uzumaki Fuinjutsu, Chikara no Zetai Dakina Fuin. Then the 4 newly created arms will collide on the abdomens of the held demons. What happened next was that symbols appeared on the bodies of Rizavim, Krozuri, Shauba, and Kateria and then disappeared like the chains that held them. When Rizavim was freed, he could only see his body in shock, and he was not the only one, since Krozuri, Shauba, and Kateria did the same. Serzex, Ajuka, Serafal, and Falbium, who saw everything, were also shocked. What surprised those present was that they could not feel the demonic power of Rizavim, Krozuri, Shauba, and Kateria, And it is not as if they were hiding it, it is as if it was never there. Uraizavim looked at Naruto in shock and anger. What did you do to me? What was happening to him made him angry and surprised. The thing was that he didn't feel the magic power from him, nothing, not a single bit of magic. He was the same with Kruzuri, Shalba and Kateria. What I did was seal all of his powers, Naruto answered seriously. They are still demons, but without a bit of power. What Naruto used was one of the most powerful seals of the Uzumaki clan, which was about completely sealing the opponent's power. Even those who possessed magic or chakra as great as the Bijus from 1 to 7 tails were completely sealed. The only way to deactivate the seal would be for Naruto to deactivate it or for the one with the seal to gain a power boost large enough to break the seal. Riasavim, upon hearing Naruto's response, he could only fall to his knees and look at the ground in shock. All the power of him, everything he always prided himself on as a demon. He was gone, as if he had never existed. Kruzuri, Shalba and Kateria felt the same. Riasavim couldn't believe it, not only his power, but also all his plans, all his ambitions, everything he worked for. They were ruined by a simple human. But his thoughts were interrupted by a scream. Lucifer-sama! Euclid shouted, drawing the attention of everyone there. It was obvious that he was hurt, since he was fighting against his sister Graphia, but they stopped fighting when they saw the big scene. And Euclid was worried about Riasavim, so he went to help. Riasavim, seeing that everything was already lost, would have no choice but to surrender, but his pride would prevent it, so it was better to escape. Euclid, prepare a circle to exit the underworld, now. Riasavim ordered him, so that Euclid would later appear next to him, to prepare a magic circle to leave the underworld. Kruzuri, Shalba and Kateria also teamed up to escape through the magic circle. Before he could escape, Riasavim sent one last look of fury at Surzex, Ajuka, Seraphal and Falbium, and then stopped at Naruto, who seemed to be trying to stop them with one of the giant Zoro's hands, only missing by a few centimeters. When Riasavim and the others left, they also left with a goal, or rather a revenge that will not only affect the demon faction, but the entire supernatural world. But what they didn't know was that one person, a whole new and powerful faction would stand in their way. A few days passed after the battle in Lilith, as the anti-Mao faction won the civil war and took over the underworld. During that time, all those belonging to the clans that were affiliated with the ancient Mao faction were either imprisoned or banished from the underworld. Although the civil war was over, they were still on guard against any outside attack. It would not be a surprise if other factions invaded the demons at their weakest moment. They are also trying to put new leaders or Mao to lead the faction. But he already has 4 candidates who could be perfect. In a room at the Citri Territory Hospital, Naruto was lying on a bed. It wasn't that Naruto got hurt, but that he was forced to stay by his friends, but more so by a worried Seraphal. Not only a few days ago was Naruto helping with the reconstruction of Hell, and then being taken to the hospital to be checked out to see if he had any injuries. The reason for Naruto's friends' concern was that since the civil war ended, Naruto did not rest for a minute, worried that he was trying too hard. Also, both soldiers and civilians were worried about Naruto, since the soldiers respected Naruto, while the civilians saw him as their great savior. They also gave him the nickname the Son of Underworld because of what happened during the Civil War. What they didn't know was that Naruto had a resistance beyond the supernatural. Naruto was thinking about something right now. That something was related to Riasavim and the others. Naruto knew that Riasavim, like the others, were still dangerous without his magic power. He still blamed himself for not being able to stop them in time. But his thoughts were cut off by a voice in his head. Hey Gaki, go into your subconscious, it's important. Kurama told him in a serious manner, making Naruto curious, but he entered without asking. The first thing was the gigantic forest next to the houses where his tenants stayed. He could also see that everyone was gathered. Naruto looked at them curiously. What's happening? Someone wants to talk to you. Kurama replied, making Naruto raise an eyebrow. Who? I, Naruto-kun. A female voice spoke, which caught Naruto's attention. Shinigami-chan. Naruto was surprised by the sudden visit of the goddess of death. What is he doing here? Everyone in Naruto's subconscious made a horrified face at the way Naruto spoke to the goddess. Even Madara Uchiha himself also made that face. But then his horrified face changed to one of shock when he saw that the goddess blushed and covered her mouth while she let out a small laugh. Fufufu, with what Shinigami-chan? Shinigami laughed with a noticeable blush on his cheeks. But changing the subject, I came here to congratulate you for completing the mission we gave you. Then she became serious. As also somewhat of an informant. Naruto also became serious. And that would be? The Supreme God wants to see you. Shinigami's response surprised everyone present. The Supreme God himself, a god who seemed to be the most powerful and important. Me? Does the Supreme God want to see me? Naruto asked, surprised that literally a Supreme God wanted to see him. Because? It seems that he wants to reward you for seeing the mission accomplished, Shinigami responded seriously. And he also wants to talk about something else. I see, but is it necessary to go now? Naruto asked, worried. I just don't want to worry anyone out there. He knew that he would worry his friends if he disappeared right now. Calm down, Shinigami said with a reassuring smile. You'll be back before you know it. If so, then I will go. Naruto accepted it calmly, but still not so sure. Well, outside your subconscious there is a portal that will take you, Shinigami said with a smile. We are waiting for you there. Then he disappeared from Naruto's subconscious. Seeing that Shinigami left, Naruto quickly left his subconscious and then saw that there was a portal in his hospital room. Naruto took a deep breath, then passed through the portal, preparing for what was coming. When Naruto crossed the portal, the first thing he saw was a room, which looked like a waiting room. It already had armchairs and a medium-sized table. There was also a door that he was to lead to another room. Something that caught Naruto's attention was that the room had no roof. It showed the entire blue sky with clouds passing by. Naruto also noticed that in the room were the gods he knew. Just in time, Boy Susanoo spoke after realizing Naruto's presence with the other gods. She then pointed to the only door in the room. The Supreme God is waiting for you in the other room. Naruto just nods nervously, nervous to meet the Supreme God. Calm down, Naruto-kun, Amaterasu said with a smile, trying to calm Naruto down. Everything will be fine. Then she took him by the hand and led him to the door accompanied by the other gods. When they opened the door, a large light was shown that temporarily blinded Naruto, and then he clearly saw where he entered. The place was strange, as it had no walls or ceiling and the floor was made of clouds, but they seemed to be solid enough to walk on. In the room there was also a small wooden table with an old telephone on it. There was also a large screen television. But what caught Naruto's attention was the person who was in the room sitting on the floor. He was an old man with gray hair. He has long eyebrows and a long beard. His hair is combed back and he wears a pair of black glasses. And he wore a light brown robe with a darker brown robe on top. The man was watching something on the big screen while drinking tea. What also caught Naruto's attention was what was happening on the screen. What was happening was a landscape of a large ocean, where there was a large ship that in the shell part of the bow had a head of a lion with a mane that looked like flower petals, and in the sails they had the typical skull with crossed bones. But with the difference that the skull is wearing some kind of straw hat. But the screen turned off, only to see that the man in the room became aware of their presence. Oh, they're here, said the old man with a kind smile. Then he motioned for her to come closer. Come, sit down. After that, the gods also sat down as if nothing had happened, while Naruto did so nervously. It's a pleasure to finally meet you in person, Naruto. I am the Supreme God. The Supreme God introduced himself. But just call me God. Why, yes, Naruto nodded nervously, bowing. It's also nice to meet you. The Supreme God did not say anything, he just continued looking at Naruto, making him more nervous. Ho ho ho, it seems I wasn't wrong, God smiled. You do have a pure heart, like the first time I saw you. Naruto was surprised by what the god said, as he also became curious about the last thing said. Like the first time? Naruto asked, interested. Have you met me before? He tried to remember if he had met him, but maybe he forgot. One could say yes. God responded with a smile, then snapped his fingers. What happened next was the screen turned on, showing the screen split into many screens showing Naruto's entire life. His birth, his childhood, his life at the Ninja Academy, the missions he did with his team, the Chunin exams, the invasion of Suna and Oto, Sasuke's recovery mission, his training trip with Jiraiya, his return in the village, Gaara's rescue from Akatsuki, the fight against Pain, and ending in the Fourth Great Ninja War. I've seen your whole life, God said with a smile, and then put on a sad expression. From the beginning to the end. Wow, Naruto was amazed that the Supreme God saw his entire life. I did not know that. And I wasn't the only one. God smiled at him. Believe it or not, you are very famous in the world of the gods. That was very surprising to know what was famous in the world of gods. Wow, that's surprising, Naruto said, surprised, and then changed to one of curiosity. But I have a question. Oh, which one would it be? God was interested in the question Naruto had. Are there more gods besides you? Naruto is curious about the information from the world of gods. He was also confused, since when he was in the underworld, he heard from Surzex that in that world there were many gods or deities. And he did not know if the gods of that world were the same as the ones he knew. Well, in answer to your question, there are many gods as well as worlds, God responded with a smile. Since when I create a world, I also create a god who will be in charge of that world, or gods like in your previous world. There are also times when one god is in charge of more than one world. I understand, Naruto nodded. So the gods that I heard in the other world, are the gods in charge? No, they are just beings who call themselves gods, God explained to him. They are not in the same category as us, there is only one god in charge of that world. Naruto nodded, but then looked at the other gods in the room. And why in that world are there gods equal to you? He had also heard of the Shinto gods, where there were gods with titles and names the same as the gods he knew. As the Supreme God said, they are beings who believe they are gods. They are very different from us, Tsukuyumi responded. An example would be that the Tsukuyumi of that world is a man. Naruto nodded in understanding. That explains. Well, changing the subject, God caught Naruto's attention. I and the god in charge of that world want to give you a reward for having completed the mission. A reward is not necessary, Naruto smiled at him. I only did what you asked me to do. No, you deserve it, God said. Besides, the god in charge of that world was the one who asked for that mission. Then he frowned. Speaking of which, she is taking a while to come. But as he finished saying that, he opened the only door in the room to show that a woman entered. That woman had black hair, golden eyes, and was wearing some kind of tight-fitting wizard's robe. Naruto couldn't help but blush at such a beautiful woman, something that some goddesses present didn't like. Sorry for the delay, said the woman in a melodious voice that would enchant any man. She was resolving some issues in one of the worlds she took care of. It doesn't matter, God said with a smile. I was just talking to Naruto about the rewards we will give him. When the woman saw Naruto, she could only smile lovingly as a pink tint appeared on her cheeks. It's nice to finally meet you, Naruto-kun. I am Gaia, the magic goddess. Gaia introduced herself with a smile. As also the goddess in charge of the world where they took you. Naruto bowed politely. It's also a pleasure to meet you, Gaia-sama. There is no need for formalities, Naruto-kun, Gaia told him with a loving smile. Just call me Gaia or whatever you like. Naruto smiled innocently. It's okay, Gaia-chan. When Gaia heard the way Naruto called her and also when she saw her smile, she could only blush as her smile grew wider. But all that was interrupted by a fake cough caused by the Supreme God. Sorry for interrupting, God said calmly. But we still have to give the rewards to Naruto, remember? Why yes, I'm sorry. Gaia apologized now with a blush of shame, and then approached Naruto, grabbed him by the cheeks, and then kissed him lovingly. Naruto, seeing what the goddess did, only froze as she blushed massively. Those who were in Naruto's subconscious, like the gods present, had different reactions when seeing the scene. In Naruto's subconscious, the Bijus laughed at the situation, some men complained about their luck and others only watched the scene with sweat. But there was only one man who only cried because he was proud of his student. While the women, some also watched the scene with sweat and others watched with jealousy. But there was only one woman who fantasized about the future grandchildren she would have to spoil, while her husband looked at him with sweat on his head. While the goddesses looked on with jealousy, Susanoo also sweated and the Supreme God only shook his head with a smile. After a few seconds, Gaia stopped kissing him, and then saw the blushing Naruto with a smile and a noticeable blush. WWWWHWH-? Naruto tried to say a word, but couldn't since he still hadn't recovered from the kiss. My reward is 3 powerful magics from one of the worlds that I took care of, Gaia explained, even though she was blushing from the kiss. And also of course I gave you the ability to use magical energy, as well as this book that will help you use and control magic. She then gave Naruto a book that had the title Magic Slayer. I see, Naruto said, still surprised by the kiss, but he looked at the book curiously. Thank you so much. Now it's my turn, God spoke calmly, but then looked at Naruto seriously. But before I give you the reward, I want to talk something, or rather propose something to you. Naruto also became serious. And that would be? Naruto, God looked at him seriously. Would you like to form and lead a new faction? Me? Form and lead a faction? Naruto asked, surprised by the proposal that the Supreme God made to him. Because? You see, Naruto, as you know, the world we sent you has many problems, like dangerous people who want to put the world in chaos, and that is why I propose this to you, God explained to him. I propose that you create and lead a group or a faction that helps avoid that. But if you don't want to do it, I will understand. Now Naruto didn't know what to do. He knew the problems that the world he was sent to was suffering from. And that's why problems caused chaos and death, something that Naruto didn't like. I am aware of what is happening in that world, and I was going to help with whatever it took, Naruto said seriously. But now I realize that I can't do it alone. Then he smiled at them with confidence. I agree. His confidence generated smiles to the gods present, as well as those who were in his subconscious. Good, God smiled. Then my reward will be something for your faction, as well as a gigantic piece of land for you to stay in. Thank you very much, Naruto thanked him. But I still have a question. Who would be members of the faction? Don't worry, I already took care of that, God responded with a smile. Now Shinigami will take you to the place, and so you can meet the members. When the Supreme God finished speaking, Shinigami stood up and then created a portal. Come on, Naruto-kun, Shinigami told him with a smile. Naruto quickly stood up to head to the portal. But before entering, he looked at the other gods again. Thank you very much for everything, Naruto thanked them with his typical smile. And I swear to you that I will not fail you. Then he went through the portal, followed by Shinigami. So that later the portal will close. I know you won't fail, Naruto, God said with a smile as he looked at where the portal used to be. The room was silent for a few seconds, only to be interrupted by the only door opening. When the door opened, Hiz could see a muscular man with short black hair, along with a beard. He wore clothes made for expeditions or trips and at the same time for fighting. In short, adventurous clothes. Has he left yet? The man spoke with a voice that showed that he was disappointed. And I just wanted to meet him and talk to him. He just left, God told him, and then looked at the man with curiosity. What did you want to talk to him about? I wanted to ask for his help in one of the worlds that I took care of, replied the man, and then showed a fruit, which seemed to be larger than normal and had swirling patterns. I was even going to reward him with some of his special fruits. Maybe for another time, God told him with a smile, while the man just sighed in disappointment. In the middle of the Pacific Ocean was a beautiful island full of large grasslands, lakes, and large forests. In the middle of a large plain, a portal appeared. From that portal came Naruto, followed by Shinigami. This is the place? Naruto looked around with fascination. It's lovely. Yes, Shinigami nodded with a smile. This is where you and your faction will stay. And who will be the members? Naruto asked him, as he looked around looking for the members the Supreme God mentioned. Now I will bring them, Shinigami told him with a smile. And then rise to the heavens. Then he started to say some words in a language that Naruto didn't understand. When Shinigami finished speaking, millions of blue particles appeared. Naruto also noticed some particles coming out of it as well. What happened next surprised Naruto a lot, because when the particles touched the ground, each one transformed into a person. People he knew. Like those who were in his subconscious, the other members of Akatsuki, the previous Jinchuriki of the Bijus, famous ninjas, and millions of other ninjas who belonged to the 5 great villages of his previous world. They will be the members, Shinigami told him with a smile, while all the ninjas there smiled at Naruto. And don't worry, none of them will give you problems. Naruto didn't say anything, he could only smile and think what awaits him and his faction in the future. That was the day one of the most powerful factions in that world was born, along with its leader. That was the day the Shinobi faction was born. 300 years later. JC, 2 years before canon. Romania. Famous country, and not only for its culture, and the many churches and fortified castles. If not for a story, or rather a legend. The legend of Dracula, the vampire. Romania was well known for stories related to vampires, also for its sightings. People only liked vampires for pure fiction. But there were also some who believed that vampires existed. These people were classified as stupid or crazy. But what they didn't know was that there was an entire faction of vampires hidden in the darkness of Romania. Since the beginning of the vampire faction, there were many internal conflicts causing the vampire faction to split into two distinct factions. The Camilla faction, which were dominated by women, and the Teeps faction, which was dominated by men. These two factions always had very serious conflicts, so much so that a civil war between the two is expected. But what the Camilla faction did not know was that the Teeps faction, or rather the second prince of the Teeps faction, had what he called a weapon to use if a civil war started. Marius Teeps, pure-blood vampire, as well as second son of the fourth king of Teeps. Marius, as a pure-blooded vampire, as well as the son of the current king of Teeps, was very prestigious and revered in the Teeps faction, causing him to become arrogant, and he would feel superior to others. But Marius wanted more. As the second son of the king, he could not become the next king, since he was the fifth candidate. He wanted to be the king and rule the Teeps faction. That was one of his goals, as well as defeat and dominate the Camilla faction. But his father, the current king, and his brother get in the way. And he was already preparing a coup d'état along with other members of the Teeps faction. He even enlisted the help of a faction called the Clipith faction, an organization led by a super demon. They would help on the condition that Marius shares his secret weapon. That weapon is a person, or rather a girl named Valerie Teeps, Marius's half-sister. Valerie, daughter of the current king Teeps and a human. As such, she is half-vampire, also known as Damphir. Since Valerie was born, she was discriminated against as a Damphir by some members of the Teeps faction, such as her brother Marius. But all that changed when Valerie awakened some of the powers or weapons so powerful that she was capable of killing gods. That power is the sacred gear Sephiroth Graal, also known as the Holy Grail of the Secluded World. One of the 13 Longinus created by the biblical gods so that humans would have something to defend themselves against supernatural beings. Sephiroth Graal was the Holy Grail of the Last Supper used by Christ and the Grail of Arthurian legend, as well as being known to be part of the Holy Relics. The Graal Sephiroth has the ability to make contact with the principle of life, where the possessor is forcefully told how life and soul are made. The possessor also takes into account the mind and concept of the dead, the living, and various other things as they use the Holy Grail, which would result in the possessor being broken by the abundance of thoughts entering his heart and soul by overusing the Sephiroth Graal. Valerie, since she is half-human, was able to obtain the sacred gear. This was taken advantage of by Marius, to use his sister as a weapon. Valerie had already used her sacred gear to revive 2 evil dragons, but from that day on she did not use it again. But what she didn't know Marius, it was that her weapon would be stolen, or rather saved. Teeps Castle. As one of the most important places in the Teeps faction, it was always guarded by the best vampire guards or soldiers. But what they didn't know was that they were going to suffer a big blow. Right at the entrance to the castle, there were 2 guards, who had just started their shift to guard the door. The 2, like good guards, were serious and attentive to any invader or enemy attack. But what happened next confused the guards. A large, thick fog appeared surrounding everything. For vampires, who have sharper senses and also have the ability to control the mist, this scene wouldn't be a problem for them. But this fog was different. It was thicker than normal, so much so that even the guards had trouble seeing. They could also feel an energy in the fog. It wasn't magic, but it was almost the same. But the guards put that aside as they saw 2 silhouettes emerge from the fog, causing them to get ready to fight and also prepared to call reinforcements just in case. But they were distracted when they saw something unusual in one of the silhouettes. In the silhouette, he seemed to be a little shorter than the other silhouette, who was taller and seemed to have a large sword wrapped in bandages on his back. It was his eyes. Eyes red like blood and had 3 black blades surrounding the pupil. As soon as the guards came, that eyes fainted. The silhouettes calmly passed through the door, ignoring the fainted guards. When the silhouettes entered the castle grounds, the appearance of the 2 silhouettes could be seen more clearly. The 2 wore a long dark cloak with a long neck that covered much of their faces and were decorated with red clouds. The shorter silhouette was a man between 20 to 21 years old, jet black hair, and had a protector on his forehead with the kanji shinobi carved on it. The other one had a more characteristic feature. It looks a lot like a shark. Its skin is pale blue, it has small white eyes, and on its cheeks it has marks that look like gills. He has curly blue hair, and it looked like he had shark teeth like a shark when he smiled when he saw the guards passed out. He also had the same forehead protector. They are none other than Itachi Uchiha and Kisame Hashigaki, high-level ninjas. That was fast. Kisame spoke with a smile, as he looked at the fainted soldiers. I took advantage of when they looked at my eyes. Itachi told him in a stoic voice. What he did was put the 2 guards in a genjutsu strong enough to knock them out for a few hours. But it seems that they detected us themselves, Kisame said without stopping smiling, while he heard many footsteps heading here. I know, there was a barrier around it, Itachi said stoically. Kisame, upon hearing that from his partner, raised an eyebrow. That detected us. If you knew there was a barrier, why didn't you say it before we entered? Kisame asked curiously. He didn't care, but he was curious since Itachi would never make a mistake like that. So that all the soldiers and guards head here and it is easier to go for the objective, Itachi answered, while one of the 2 distracts them. I see, Kisame said with a smile, and then grabbed the handle of the Samahata. Then leave this to me and you go for the objective. Itachi just nods, then disappears into a flock of crows. When the crows dispersed, the guards and soldiers appeared and quickly pointed their weapons at Kisame. Intruder, identify yourself, a soldier demanded, as he prepared for any fight along with the other soldiers. Kisame didn't say anything, just his smile widened, showing his sharp teeth, while a thick fog appeared in the surroundings. Kisame showed the Samahata in all its splendor with a smile. I am the monster of the hidden mist. In the basement of Teep's castle you could see 2 soldiers, who seemed to be guarding a cell. Inside that cell you could see a beautiful girl between 17 and 18 years old, short blonde hair with red eyes. This girl was Valerie Teeps.